the Sports Betting Network. Paulie Howard, JVT, live downtown Las Vegas, Circus, Sirius XM, channel 158.
Paid for by government. Throughout the history of America's Silver Eagle coin series, there's never been a mint state coin struck with a special privy mark. Until now. That's right. The world's most popular silver bullion coin has just been struck with a special star privy mark. Silver Eagles are the best-selling silver coin since first being introduced by the U.S. Mint in 1987.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. Women's hoops tonight, number 9, Ohio State plays host to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Buckeyes women are 9-3 in the Big Ten, but they've lost 2 in a row. They're chasing USC and UCLA in the race for first in the Big Ten. Last night, the Buckeyes men rolled to a 93-69 win at home over Washington. Ohio State improves to 7-7 in the Big Ten with the victory. The Cavaliers head into the All-Star break tied for the most wins in the league. They pounded the Raptors 131-108 last night. It was their 44th victory of the season. They keep pace with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat Miami 115-101 to improve to 44-9. Cleveland led at 41-17 after the first quarter. Donovan Mitchell had 21 points, leading the Cavs to their 8th win in the last 9 games in their 4th straight. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce,
it's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day.
Who let the dogs out?
Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Someone's got to set the tone out there, boys. Someone's got to set it.
The station that sets the tone for Youngstown Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. WRDV, The Scourge.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. Multiple reports say that former Lions head coach Matt Patricia is finalizing a deal with Ohio State to become the team's next offensive coordinator. Head coach Ryan Day interviewed Patricia earlier this week. He won 3 Super Bowls under Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots and also has experience in college. He served in multiple roles in more than 25 years of coaching. The Cavaliers head into the All-Star break tied for the most wins in the league. They pounded the Raptors 131-108 last night. It was their 44th victory of the season. They keep pace with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat Miami 115-101 to improve to 44-9. Cleveland's lead atop the Eastern Conference is 5.5 games better than the defending champion Celtics. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
Friday is Valentine's Day, so if you still have shopping to do, then it's time to get to Macy's because we make finding the perfect gift so easy. How easy? We have last-minute gifts that feel truly thoughtful, like fragrance gift sets from Yves Saint Laurent, Carolina Herrera, and Marc Jacobs, boxed and ready to give. Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that. So head to Macy's and make their Valentine's Day a little more special and your life a little bit easier. But hurry in because you're almost out of time. These deals end Friday at Macy's.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business. Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it and will beat any print quote. Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs. No problem. I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens. Totally. I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing. I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hello, Phantom fans, and welcome to Season 7, Episode 18 of the Dump and Chase podcast. My name is Sam Olmstead, broadcasting from home base here in Salem. Over in Studio B in Newton Falls is Justin Irwin, and at Studio 54 in Austintown is Dan Conley. See, I just thought those were like load-bearing poles in your basement. I didn't realize people could swing around on them.
Yeah, you can do anything you want, Sam.
If only the rest of you could see what we see going on in the background of Dan's recording right now.
Hey, we listen and we don't judge.
So, gentlemen, anybody get rich off the Super Bowl Sunday night?
Not at all.
That was yesterday. Yeah. Oh, oops.
No, I
must have missed that.
I did the thing where I didn't care at all who won, so I put all my bets on prop bets with terrible odds just to try to strike it. And the only thing I got was Hopkins anytime touchdown. And for what it's worth, Justin, I asked him for some advice last week, and it was 0 for 3 on his advice. But granted, I think everybody had Barkley as anytime touchdown scorer. I guarantee almost everybody did who bet.
I was working on other stuff. I kind of had it on in the background. I wasn't rooting for anybody, but honestly, seeing the Chiefs get thrashed like that, it did feel a little good.
Yeah.
Football for me is a distraction until hockey comes on. And I gave no F's about either of those teams. So
that's why I was so happy for you at the Cleveland Classic. You got to sit in Cleveland Brown Stadium and watch a team that you root for win.
Yeah. And I mean, there was 400 or 500 people there, which, that's a little bit bigger than a normal crowd there.
All right. So I pulled a bit of a USHL last week. Do you guys remember when the USHL was celebrating Mark Carlson from Madison setting the all-time wins record for a head coach? Yep. And then had to take it back because it turned out they were counting playoff games as well.
Cedar Rapids,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that last week. Dan, I celebrated your 60th episode with us.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out during last season, there was an episode around Christmas you were not on. So
this is my 60th episode.
So I was a week early. So Dan, congratulations on your 60th episode this week.
Thanks, Sam. I got my own day now. It feels good because I get to celebrate it twice. And it doesn't mean anything to me that last week didn't mean anything.
So there's that Venn diagram there with me and the USHL right now.
Yeah.
Bad stat keeping in the middle.
I saw the post about them getting ready to celebrate. I think Carlson's 11 wins away this time from breaking from hitting 1,000 or whatever it is that he needs. Or
you know what? They had my attention the first time. I could care less this time around.
I think you're in the same boat as everybody else.
He's been there a lot longer than some Omaha coaches.
So just real quick, just because I thought this was a little quirky and worth bringing up, going through looking at some of the scheduling for teams for the rest of the season and everything like that, I happened to notice a couple things that makes me not want to complain about Youngstown's schedule for the rest of the season, including playing like 6 games in 9 days. The first thing I found, not found out, but the first thing I had seen was Madison in the month of March. Every weekend they play in the month of March is a 3-3. They're playing 4 3-3s in a row. And 10 of those 12 games are on the road.
I think somebody must have made the USHL scheduler very mad.
That all the years tracking schedules and stats and everything else, that may be the worst scheduling I have ever seen.
That sounds terrible. And I just wonder what's going to happen with the Phantoms next year. I'm sure the league's not all that happy with the team this year. I wonder how they're going to pay him back.
Another thing I noticed, Waterloo, starting this past weekend, there are no remaining opponents for them the rest of the season that they play twice in a row. And
that's just
in a stretch of 20, starting this past weekend, a stretch of 23 games to the end of the season, that every game that they play it will be a different opponent. They don't play anybody back to back the rest of the season.
That's wild. Like the Madison schedules, that stinks for them. But the Waterloo one, that just seems so weird of a thing in this league.
Like, I can't even see that being an accident. That's like somebody went out of their way to do that.
Think that helps or hurts them?
They're in the West. I don't care.
I mean, I don't know if it's either, but it's really unheard of in this league, especially with, travel costs and stuff.
As we have learned from some of our former brethren in the Western Conference, they don't give too much of a damn about what's going on in the East. So
right.
So it's a two-way street there. Neither of us care. All right. So since that's about all we got, I figured I'd go for a little time killer, do something a little different this week. And it definitely wasn't just outright stealing Dan's idea that he had about a month ago.
It's all right.
So we're going to do something here. We're going to play a game. You two are going to play a game called Guess the Phantom.
I'm severely overmatched here.
I'm going to give you 5 hints at any point. If you think you have figured out who I am talking about, just go ahead and yell it out. We don't have buzzers. We don't have the budget for that.
Any penalties for wrong answers?
Everybody will hear you give them.
Okay.
So public shame. That is the penalty.
Trey Taylor.
That's funny.
I was going to do Kiefer Sherwood, but I figured the first clue would be what kind of cologne he wears, and you would have guessed it. So,
brute.
All right. So, are you guys ready?
As I'll ever be.
All right.
But go.
All right. The first clue: California to New Jersey. The second clue: forward. So it's not Trey Taylor. The third clue: third all-time in points by a Phantom. Fourth clue.
What's his? Is he playing in Europe now?
Fourth clue.
Austin Cangelosi?
No. Fourth clue. Cornell to Boston College.
Okay. Can I get another answer now?
Go ahead.
That'd be Jack Malone.
That's Jack Malone. Final hint was Utica Comets. See, Dan, you doubted yourself.
I did. You gave it in my hemisphere, though. If you'd have went farther back, like 3 seasons, I'd have been done.
That's what I'm going to do next time. That's why all of your all-time Phantom teams are just players in the last 3 years.
I go back past farther back than that. So come on now.
Alrighty, Justin, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You looked a little sullen there. I just wanted to check on you.
Well, when you said Cornell, that was immediately where my head went. But I'm like, wait, did he go to? And then Dan's like, can I answer? It's like,
got to be quick on the buzzer, the non-existent buzzer. All right. So coming up in this episode, we are going to be previewing the Phantoms 2-game weekend in Chicago, the last round of this extended road trip. We have a loaded fan Q&A this week, and this week's edition of Phantom Files, we are welcoming back to the show Phantoms forward Ryan Rusinski. So with that, we're going to step aside for a quick break. The weekend recap Iowa edition is coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
You are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So this past weekend, the Phantoms take a trip out to Iowa. Thankfully, we're getting down to the point with the ridiculous amount of home games that the Phantoms have to finish out the season. The road trips are starting to wind down.
Well, I mean, especially the ones in Iowa.
The Phantoms have played 41 games so far this season, 2 of them in Cranberry, and then 16 at home, 23 on the road. Because of that, the Phantoms actually have more points this season from road games than they do home games.
Yeah, I expect that to change very soon.
Yeah, that's going to flip around pretty quick here.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think we've seen this happen in other years. And this is something you hope for, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're looking at a schedule, you like to see that, packed home games at the end of the season.
But again, still a trend that's getting better and that we like to see. The Phantoms right now on the road this season are 12-10, 0-1. We've seen that go the other way in the past couple of years. The Phantoms historically not the greatest road team, but definitely a better showing on the road this year than we've seen in a while.
You hope to at least play 500 hockey on the road, or a couple games better than that. So
yeah. All right, so the Phantoms, 2-game road trip, taking a little bit of a tour through central Iowa, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember the map. I'm not going to go there. Starting out on Friday.
That sounds fun to me, Sam.
I'm sure it's a lovely state, but starting out on Friday, the Phantoms in Des Moines, facing off against the Buccaneers. That was a 3-2 win for the Phantoms. So as far as this game is concerned, Jack Hextall getting it started early in the first period, a minute 28 into the game, picking up his 6th goal of the season. At the 7:43 mark, Des Moines would tie the game at 1. And then at the 16:31 mark of the first period, Brecken Smith picking up his 5th of the season. So Youngstown going into the first intermission with a 2-1 lead. In the second period, the only goal in this period, very late in the period at 19:14, Adam Banach picking up his 12th of the season. And this is kind of something we were discussing before we started recording here. One of the newest Phantoms, Peter Cesar, excellent work. Excellent work. Picking up an assist on this goal.
Yeah, he for sure has got a heavy game about him. And he's got great vision out there. And he lays off a great saucer pass there. And he's somebody, as they start getting more familiarized with each other, I think he's going to be I'm not going out on a limb by saying this, but he's going to be a great ad for the team.
Yeah, I mean, his passing ability alone looked to be something that we were really looking for and adding to the team. So,
So going into the second intermission, Youngstown up 3-1. It looked like it was going to hold that way. A little bit of late game heroics by Des Moines with 30 seconds left in the third period, picking up a goal on the power play. And if I remember correctly, the goaltender was pulled as well.
Yeah.
So 6-on-4 situation there, bringing Des Moines within one. Thankfully, Youngstown able to hold them off in that last 30 seconds, picking up the 3-2 win. Youngstown out shooting Des Moines 38-20 in this game. Youngstown 0 for 1 on the power play. Des Moines was 1 for 2. Melvin Strahl stopping 18 of 20 in this game, picking up his 19th win of the season. Des Moines, I mean, and it's kind of a little different in the Western Conference. Des Moines being the 7th place team, there's not a ton of gap between them and, a couple of the teams higher than them. Obviously big gap between Des Moines and Omaha, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I mean, you couldn't look at this as an easy game, and we beat that drum all the time. There's no easy games in this league, but Youngstown really had to do some work there at the end of the third period to hold on to this one.
Yeah, I mean, up until that point, I don't think this game was as close as what the score indicated. Yeah, again, there's no such thing as a safe lead in this league, so...
Yeah, I think Des Moines went off and beat Sioux City the very next day on Saturday after playing the Phantoms. And I think this is actually one of the better games the Phantoms have played. They missed some open chances, I feel. And Des Moines goalie, I'm going to butcher his last name. He played a heck of a game in goal too. And it's a shame it came down to white knuckling for the last minute for as much as the Phantoms outplayed the Buccaneers in the game. Just by the skin of what Luke Osborne's stick saved that game from being tied as literally time expired.
Yeah.
Pulling that puck off.
Yeah, Luke Osborne, I mean, literally, I mean, should have been given a credit for a save there. Just a very last second, able to get in there and swipe that puck away while it was sitting on the goal line.
Fortunately, was tracking the puck very well at that moment.
Yeah, that guy.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't hear you. What was their goaltender's name again?
Elliot Sagan Lescarborough. I actually think I nailed
better
it.
than I could do.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. All right. So moving on to the game on Saturday, the Phantoms heading to Waterloo. Unfortunately, this game was a 5-3 loss for the Phantoms. So starting it off in the first period, Waterloo scores 3 goals and we go to the intermission. Waterloo up 3-0. We talk about how the Phantoms, kind of how well they do in the first and third period and kind of, everything kind of falls off a little bit in the second. This was just the mere opposite of that trend in this game. Youngstown giving up 3 goals in the first period, going down 3-0. Going into the second period, the Phantoms coming back and tying the game at 3, starting with Luke Osborne on the power play, getting his 5th of the season at 6:19. About a minute and a half later, Jamison Slies picking up his 13th of the season, getting the Phantoms within 1. And then we talked about Peter Cesar, Matty, here we go. Matty Bodkovsky. There we go.
Yep.
Waiting for pronunciation, guys.
Yeah, I wrote out a pronunciation last week, so I had it. I didn't have it this week. Picking up his first USHL goal, tying the game at 3. And that is how we would go to the second intermission. Then going to the third period, and Waterloo, 2 quick goals in the middle of the period there, giving them a 5-3 lead. And pretty much you get the one, and you kind of have that mentality, okay, we need to get that one back. When they strike again just a little over a minute later, it just kind of sucks the air, right out of your sails when you give up 2 quick ones like that. Didn't really feel like Youngstown was able to recover after that. Through the remainder of that period, and take the 5-3 loss.
No, it seemed like we talked about this as well. All 8 goals were scored in the same goal, and I'd say the first and the third period is as good as the Phantoms played on Friday. I know they outshot Waterloo in the game, but I really didn't feel like they got a very good foothold in the game for the entirety of the game, except for that second period. After that first period, when they're down 3-0, as the second period blues seem to come, I was thinking it was going to be a huge hole to dig out after the second period, but I was happily wrong with that. But that third period, again, they just couldn't get a foothold in the game.
I think these were two very evenly matched teams. Very similar, I think. Like to play physical, like to play skill. I think they just played their game better than we did.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to blame that it's, the second game and a road trip out to, Iowa, but I'm really looking forward to seeing these two teams back in Youngstown.
Yeah. I think we talked about that too, Justin. I think we talked about these teams being similar and very similarly matched line to line and also play style. And I listened before the game started. They had like a coach's comments before the game, and they talked about Youngstown and Waterloo's coach said something I never really thought about before. And he said Waterloo plays a structured defensive and offensive game, and Youngstown's a little bit more wild. They're more play like on vibes. They have skill. They can score at you at will. But he thought that the structure of Waterloo could overcome the lines of attack that Youngstown throws. And that's something I think he was spot on when he said that too.
Well, first I'll say it did kind of make me laugh as much talk when Des Moines and Waterloo played each other last week. And a lot of the talk was how heavily penalized Youngstown was. Mm-hmm. We were very light on the penalties this weekend. 4 total? Let's see. 3 power plays on Friday and 5 power plays on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's pretty light.
Yeah.
Now not factoring in Luke Santilli, the fight on Friday where he basically tenderized.
I will give him credit for dropping the gloves against a guy, a lot bigger than him.
Just when you have the broadcaster was like, "Oh, that was a good fight. He put up a good show," and you saw the kid like skating off the ice and. He looked like Rocky in like round 11.
He said their guy came away pretty much unscathed, and then the other guy, you heard him go. You literally saw that mouse growing from when he started skating off the ice to when he got off the ice.
Already looked like he had a black eye. Had a nice nice little goose egg on his forehead,
and growing like a cartoon. And I'm. To add to the point, Waterloo is a heavily penalized team. I did not see that game from them. So
the other point I want to bring up, and this is something we discussed like during these games and then whatnot. I mean, the Phantoms did get the win on Friday. They were getting killed on faceoffs this weekend.
I think they've been getting killed on faceoffs more than this weekend.
I think it was really obvious this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that you typically see are pretty sure-handed in the face-off, in the face-off circle, were struggling.
Yeah,
and this was an entire weekend problem, and it didn't really hurt them at the end of the day. As far as the Des Moines game, I felt like it really hurt them in the Waterloo game.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is something that will be worked on.
Yeah,
because I think we talked about at the beginning of the year. Towards the beginning, I think Brzezinski won like 5 or 6 face-offs in a row on a power play, and that seems like. I mean, he's still all right at faceoffs for sure, but I feel like the Phantoms can't get a big faceoff win when they need it in the defensive or the offensive zone as of late.
All right, so with that, it is now time for the Dump and Chase podcast 3 stars of the week. So kicking it off with the 3rd star.
Luke Osborne, 1 goal, 1 assist.
The 2nd star of the weekend, that goes to Jamison Slies, 1 goal and 2 assists on the weekend.
And the 1st star of the week is Adam Bannock, had 1 goal and 2 assists on the weekend as well.
All right, so that will do it for 3 stars and the weekend recap. Coming up after a quick break is Phantom Files with this week's guest, Phantoms forward Ryan Rusinski. That is next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go! Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What? Oh my gosh, you don't know!
I know!
You don't! Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No! Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this! To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was
Was
fine.
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
We're back with the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms Hockey, Western Reserve Radio. So for this week's edition of Phantom Files, we welcome back to the show a native of Broadview Heights, Ohio, who is committed to the Ohio State University. This season, in 28 games, has 23 points and is closing in on doubling his total from last year to go along with 4 game-winning goals, 11 points on the power play, a beast on the penalty kill, and a face-off aficionado. He is number 56, Ryan Rusinski. Ryan, great to have you back on, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Quite the intro there.
I've been complimented on my hype man abilities before, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we were actually supposed to talk to you at main camp. You were going to be paired up with Colson Hanrahan. Apparently you decided to go golfing in a monsoon instead. How did that work out?
Yeah, it didn't work out too well. I heard about the podcast on like hole 1, and then we got to hole 3, and it was a thunderstorm and it was just pouring rain, so we had to get out of there. So would have been probably better to get on the podcast, but well, we were down.
Did you finish the hole?
I don't know. I think so, maybe. I don't know. I think we got to the 3rd tee box and we had to hide under some trees.
We were up in the main lobby with Hanny and we were looking for you, and then finally somebody came up and they're like, "Oh, he's golfing right now." And we looked out like the front glass windows and couldn't even see like the sign in the front of the building. It was raining so hard. And it was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I tried golfing.
Is it hard to golf with waders on, or?
Yeah, it wasn't too easy.
Sam, it gives you an excuse.
Yeah. No, it gives. I don't need an excuse. I'm just bad at it. So as we mentioned, committed to Ohio State University. So I got to imagine the national championship here a few weeks ago was a pretty good night for you, especially with all the Michigan guys in the locker room.
Yeah, for sure. I think we were all kind of some guys didn't want to win. Obviously I did. And it was good to see him win there. So that was pretty exciting. I think I was let everyone know they won. So,
and this is more recent news. Your one of your cousins, Dylan Duke, made his NHL debut, scoring in his first NHL game on Saturday. How excited were you for that?
Yeah, no, I was really happy for him. It was a huge accomplishment and just really fun to watch and kind of be there, watch his career path and see that he made it. And yeah, it was just an awesome day for especially him and his family. So it was good.
Now going back to this theme, because he was a Michigan guy. How did that dynamic work out with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, he was always at Michigan. He grew up there. His brother actually was committed to Ohio State. Played there for his freshman year. So yeah, there's a little family rivalry, but it's all fun. So.
Now, does that, now that he's made his NHL debut, does that give you just like a little bit of extra motivation now?
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be cool to be able to do that just like he did. So, yeah.
Kind of sticking with your family, your brother Kyle, he's playing at St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius is a big time power school for I come from high school soccer, and they're like the best soccer team in the nation quite a few years in a row. We've talked to quite a few kids who came from Minnesota and talked about Minnesota hockey, high school hockey. Do you know anything too much about Ohio high school hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's on the same level as like Minnesota, but I think it's all the guys that play in high school hockey in Ohio, at least, like really love it. And St. Ignatius is one of the best schools there for Ohio. So I think my brother really loves it there, and he has a fun time.
So this is your second year in the USHL. And at this point, like 2/3 of the regular season is done. So this far into it, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think it's been a good first half of the year for me and for the team. I think we just gotta keep winning some more games and get into playoffs here soon.
So, what's changed from the first year to the second year for you?
I think just my role on the team last year. I didn't really have the biggest role. Just had to go out and do a few things. And this year I got put into a bigger role, so I just kind of step up all around and just play more freely. Just I don't know, it's been a great year, so nothing really to complain about.
Good enough to earn you a spot on the Junior A Challenge. 5 points in 5 games, won a gold. Had your buddies Jack and Ozzy on the squad there.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun experience to be able to go with them, and obviously to bring home gold was cool too. So
I'm seeing walking behind you there. Are you being spied on, or?
Yeah, a little bit. Roommates here. Colson,
yeah.
We know.
How's it going, fellas?
Hey, Colson. You'll get your turn. Leave him alone. Good to see you, Annie.
Good to see you guys.
I think that's the first time we've ever had a drop in during an interview.
That is. So you just got back from a trip out to Iowa, most recently here at Waterloo. Yeah, Waterloo plays on an Olympic-sized ice as opposed to NHL-sized ice that every other rink plays in. Does that change your game, or does that make it so get a little bit more tired quicker, or how does that affect your guys' overall game?
Yeah, obviously it's a little bit different. You just kind of have to adapt. It is bigger sheets, so I guess if you're going up and down the ice, kind of get tired out a little easier. But I think it's fun. I like playing on a big ice like that, a lot of space, and can make some more plays and have a little extra time. So
you guys are coming out of a pretty tough stretch of games there. Now, certainly there's no easy wins in this league, but now you guys got one more trip to Chicago this weekend, and then an 8-game homestand coming up. How much are you looking forward to being back, not only back at Cavelli, but being back for a good little chunk of time there?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Obviously, it's way better, way more fun to play at home, and just obviously easier to not be traveling on the bus for a while. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Now you've been around Youngstown for a little while now. Coach Ward always talks about, that home ice advantage and the fans and the crowd and everything else. What does that do for you in a game? When you have, the home fans there, the Youngstown fans there, and everybody's, doing their chants and, everything else and doing their thing, cheering you guys on. What does that do for you?
I think it just brings a little bit more energy to everyone. The fans really help out, and when you hear them all screaming and cheering you on, it just gives you a little extra something to do out there and play with a little chip out of your shoulders.
It kind of building from the question we asked you before about what changed from last year to this year. Most notably, your presence on the power play, and you're playing in front of the net. A lot of times, you almost have like that play where they hit you on the stick, and you kind of try to wrap it around the backside of the goalie. It's like almost looks like set plays quite a bit. That's something you did growing up, or is that just something you just implemented in your game this year?
Yeah, I did that a little bit growing up, but then obviously seeing it, other guys do it on different teams and different leagues. I feel like good play, and it's just a little bit of both. I think seeing other people and doing it growing up too. So,
how has it been this season? I mean, there's players injured, players sick, suspensions, everything else, kind of jumping all over the place. When guys are bouncing around lines, but at any one time, you could be out there with Banach or Hextall. Or now, Slides and some, Resendez, some of these new guys coming in. What is it like being out there and almost kind of like matching skill for skill with all these guys? Because it's really any line you're on. Can at any time be lethal?
Yeah, I think it's really nice. I mean, everyone in the whole league, and especially our team has a lot of skill. And no matter who you're on the ice with, you can always make plays and adapt to everyone. So it's pretty. There's no one that's like hard to play with. Like everyone's good, so it doesn't really matter much.
Coming down to the end of the regular season here, you personally, what are kind of some of your goals? Finishing out this season.
I'm just kind of trying to help the team win and just focus on just day by day and game by game, and just trying to end up getting a punches playoff spot here, and overall just win Clark Cup. Not really too focused on like specific individual things, but I think team success will lead to individual success for everyone. So,
all right. So before we let you out of here, any friends or family that might be listening in on this, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Just my mom. Just say what's up. I don't really know who else all listens, but any fans, keep coming to our games. Love having you there, and yeah.
Alrighty, so we have been talking to Phantoms forward Ryan Rucinski. Ryan, great having you back on the show again. Stay healthy and good luck the rest of this season, bud.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to step aside for a moment. The weekend preview and the fan Q&A is up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm going to do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast on the broadcast home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So the Phantoms this coming weekend, the last of this, 6-game road trip? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6-game road trip. Coming down to the end before the Phantoms coming back home for the start of an 8-game homestand. The Phantoms will be traveling out to Illinois for 2 games with the Chicago Steel. These games taking place on Saturday and Sunday. So based on the timing of these games, they're going to get these 2 games over pretty quick.
Yeah.
And in less than 24 hours, these games will be done and Youngstown will be on their way back home. So Youngstown this season versus Chicago is 2-1 against the Steel. These teams last met November 8th and 9th at the Cavelli Center. The Phantoms sweeping those games 7-2 and picking up a 5-4 win in overtime. That was actually Landon Resendez with the game-winning goal in overtime. That was his first as a Phantom. Chicago coming into this weekend with a record of 14-24-3. That gives them 31 points and 7th place in the Eastern Conference. But they're on a little bit of a heater right now. Chicago on a 4-game winning streak, on a 5-game point streak. Last weekend, Chicago getting the win over Madison 4-3 in overtime, and then the next night beating Green Bay 2-1.
I'm not going to cry over those.
I think Chicago coming in. I think they're one of the youngest teams in the league, so maybe they're kind of starting to put it all together at the right time. But I think more importantly, they're on a 4-game win streak because their goalie, Jack Parsons, I think he's been goaltender of the week 2 weeks in a row. I think he's on a heater, which is in turn allowing them to get some wins too.
I mean, if we beat them, they've done us some favors. So
that is one thing about this winning streak. They have kind of helped us out a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, good for them. Good for them. Let's definitely not let them do that to us.
Yeah. All right, so these games Saturday, that is an 8:05 puck drop. That is local time here. And on Sunday, a 4:05 puck drop, again, local time here. Keep an eye out on Phantom social media for any watch parties taking place at Kensington Golf Club in Canfield. And of course, the games will be available on Flow Sports. I was about to say, hopefully the broadcast is better than it was in Des Moines and Waterloo, but hopefully, well, no, not hopefully. We know that's not going to be the case. Hopefully the video is better. Alrighty, so with that, I had a bunch of questions come in for Q&A this week.
A lot late.
Came in late. I thought we only had one. Turned out we had 4. As I was putting everything together for this episode. So we're going to kick it off. And we had discussed last week with the Phantoms' second game of the weekend a couple weekends ago with the U17s. The Phantoms on a major power play, picking up 3 goals on that major, but that doesn't count as saying that they were 3 for 1 on that penalty, on that power play. And we said we'll discuss it at some point, but not at that point. Apparently, people couldn't wait. So, and yeah, that is the question. Why weren't the Phantoms 3 for 1 on that major penalty? I know how it works as far as the why it is that way. I don't know, and I'm not even going to bother to dig into that.
I mean, it's the archaic rules of hockey.
Yeah. So simply, it comes down to there's 3 ways for a penalty to end. Either a goal, the penalty runs out, or your team takes a penalty. Since that didn't occur in this scenario with Team USA, we're just going to leave that out of it. So on a 5-minute major, the penalty will not end until 5 minutes has elapsed. So again, hence you can score as many goals as you want. Well, for the matter of keeping score, the way it's done is that if you're on a major and Jameson Sly scored 3 seconds into this, into this power play. So basically what happens is the Phantoms are 1 for 1 on that power play, but because it's a major penalty, the power play is not over. The power play will continue on. So in the interest of keeping statistics, it technically starts a new power play. So the Phantoms are 1 for 1. They pick up that second goal. They're now 2 for 2, and there's still 4 minutes left. So basically it creates another 4-minute power play. So they're 2 for 2. They scored the third time. They're now 3 for 3. And by the time they scored that third one, there was 20 something seconds left.
Yeah.
So when they scored that third one, they were 3 for 3. But there was still 20 something seconds left on the power play. So that basically created a 20 something second power play. Now they didn't score before the end of that. So technically them getting the 3 goals, they were 3 for 4 on that major penalty.
You could never be perfect on a major.
No, the simplest way to explain it is goals plus 1. If a team is and more often than not, teams on a major penalty, they're only going to score 1 goal. So when it's all said and done, it's goals plus 1. So they were 1 for 2 on that major. Yeah. In this case, Youngstown scored 3 goals. So goals plus 1, they were 3 for 4 on that major penalty. Again, as to the why, no idea. So the next question No name attached to this one. Youngstown has 25 wins with 21 games left. What do you think a realistic win/point total is for the season?
For me on this one, I just made it simple. I didn't factor in tie or overtime losses or anything like that. So 21 games remaining. 14 of those 21 games are at home. Actually, fun fact, the Phantoms have played the least amount of home games this season with only 17 so far out of all the USHL teams. Actually, I think it's 16 because one of those is a Cranberry, right, Sam?
Yes.
Okay, so with 14 home games out of the 21, I figured on them winning between 14 and 15 of those. I'll split the difference and call it 29 points out of a possible remaining. That would give them 80 total. They have 51 right now. 29 plus 51 is 80 points. So I think they're going to be right around 80-ish points total for the season.
I'm basically going on what you have now. There are far too many variables to factor in going down the stretch. Yeah, we've got most of our games at home. I think you've got to win at least 2/3 of the points going forward. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping for something on that level. We've got 42 points on the board.
Yep.
If you can get 2/3 of that, you're doing good. Anything above that, that's what you hope for.
When I'm thinking of this, I'm looking at last season. Dubuque just kind of ran away with it, finished with 90 points. Youngstown would need to win pretty much everything to hit that mark. And Dubuque is kind of sort of on the same pace. However that ends up. To me, the ultimate goal is not first in the Eastern Conference.
No.
To me, the goal is the bye. The goal is the 2 seed.
Yep.
Looking at it last year, Youngstown finished with 76 points, ended up in 4th. Muskegon getting the 2 seed with 78 points. So to me, that's kind of the benchmark where Youngstown kind of wants to aim for as far as that number 2 seed looking at last season. So, 42 points on the board. I would like to see 30. So Justin, you said 2/3. I would go like 3/4.
That makes sense.
I would like to see 30. I would like to see them hit 80 points. I feel like that would put us in a pretty good position. Mm-hmm. Potentially, a 2 seed in that first round bye.
So I'm right in line with you, Sam. I said 29. That would give us 80 overall. So,
all right. So Justin S. Wait, what? Justin, what's your middle initial?
I do not have a middle name.
They call him the Streak. All right. I honestly didn't know what your middle name was. I'm learning something new right now.
I do not have one. I will provide my driver's license if necessary to prove it. And I have had to.
Were you also handing over your license and registration as well, or your registration and insurance as well?
No, this was for employment.
Oh, okay. All right. So Justin S. asks, after watching 2 subpar broadcasts this past weekend, do you guys have a favorite non-Phantoms broadcast to watch and least favorite?
Yeah, my favorites are Fargo, Sioux Falls, and Muskegon. I like the vantage point of Sioux Falls. That's like that's a bigger arena, so I like where the camera vantage point is. But I think Fargo, Sioux Falls, and Muskegon, they all put out a pretty good broadcast and production value.
What would be your least favorite?
Oh, my least favorite by far for viewing purposes is Madison. That's a small arena. I can't stand how low the camera is. It's hard to see what the heck you're doing. And if we got to talk about a game, there's not a whole lot to see. I think if we played Des Moines more often, I think Des Moines would be there for a multitude of reasons because of the bad broadcast and the terrible goal call. And I actually don't mind when we play in Chicago because I know there's reasons and everything else. But when Chicago's getting stomped and Citron's on the call, he almost needs like a wellness check by the end of the game. And I kind of enjoy that. So
I am not going to be able to outdo Dan on that one. I have my issues with Citron's calls, but from a broadcast point, Chicago is the least of our concerns. No, I will not say I have a second favorite or any favorite in this league. I've been pretty critical all along. Video broadcast is kind of one of my hobbies, and nothing in this league manages to impress me.
I would say, as far as my favorite, and I'm kind of like combining everything together. Team USA, video wise, I don't think it's the best out there. But
I used to be a lot better.
But I think with Pete Krupski, I think the overall experience is like miles above, the rest of the league. This is a man that has a lot of years around the sport of hockey. This man has seen and called more talent than, anybody far and away at this level. And it's just like, and like that aspect that he brings to the broadcast, you get history, you get stories, and everything else. And to me, it just kind of adds to the overall atmosphere of the game. Worst, I mean, I don't want to say worst, but the one that always bothers me, and Dan, I agree with you on this, is Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way the building's set up, the low angle, and I still have PTSD from years ago when they couldn't figure out the white balance on their camera. So watching a game in Madison was like staring at the surface of the sun.
I think Sam remembers some of my reactions to that. Yeah.
That was the old SpongeBob, like my eyes with.
And before USA Hockey Arena went to the USA Hockey TV, their cameras were set up different. I think that was kind of like the best I had seen in the league, but they've kind of gone downhill.
Now, of course, all praise to Matt Lipsack. The part of the question was non-Phantoms, so so ranking the other 14, 15 teams or whatever. I do want to point that out. And the last question, this is from It's Me, Rob. See, I told you Rob wasn't his real name. There was other parts to it. I told you. Like, oh, Sam's just trying to be funny. I told you. All right. Will you be watching the Four Nations tournament? Any predictions?
I will absolutely be watching as much as I can. Prediction wise, I think Canada, they have their top. Canada's top 6 forward line is unreal. It's like McDavid, Mitch Marner, Sam Reinhart, Crosby, McKinnon, and Mark Stone. There's no other team that comes anywhere close to touching that. But where Canada does struggle is their goalies. It's like Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, and Sam Montembeault. Their goalies are not. I think if they go back and repick goalies, it wouldn't even be anywhere near that. USA just lost Quinn Hughes for the whole entire tournament. I think Quinn Hughes was their best player. That stinks. But USA does have the best goalies. I feel they got Jake Ottinger, Connor Hellebuck, who's having an amazing season, and Jeremy Swayman, who's whatever. And also there's Sweden and Finland. Sweden's a solid roster. And for what it's worth, right now, that Richard Raquel, who just got added to the team's on the top line right now. And Finland, they're the least impressive roster, but for whatever reason, they work harder than anybody else, and they get results they probably shouldn't get against teams that don't talent them. But Finland's always in it.
I'm going to make this short and sweet. Dan, I'm with you on Canada.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure how much I'll be able to watch, but to me, this depends on how they're allowed to play. Is this IIHF or, NHL? If they're allowed to play a little bit physical, I think USA wins.
Mm-hmm.
Not to discount Canada, especially if Crosby is going to be playing, and that's not just as a Pens fan. But yeah, I think if a little bit of grit is allowed in the tournament, then USA has a good chance.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, everybody, thank you for sending your questions in. The line is always open, so any questions you want to ask us about the Phantoms, about hockey in general, about ourselves, why? Go ahead and send those in. You can find the link on the pinned at the top of our Facebook page. So that is pretty much all we have for this episode. We're going to take one last break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this episode and look ahead to next week's show. So keep it here one more time with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil. $15 is the best I can do. You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
They're going to bring me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
We're back, and that will do it for this edition of the Dump and Chase podcast. Massive thanks to this week's guest, Ryan Rusinski, and as always, a big thanks to all of you for tuning in this week. So on next week's show, we will be recapping the 2-game series in Chicago and previewing the return to the Covelli Center with the Phantoms taking on the Muskegon Lumberjacks for 2 games. So you can catch this show every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Western Reserve Radio. You can also catch this show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever it is you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can find us on social media on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also check out the official merchandise site of the show. That is dcpodshop.com. So to my co-hosts, Dan Conley and Justin Irwin, before we get out of here, any final words of wisdom?
Learn where your mute button is.
I don't have words of wisdom, but I have a prediction. And I think was it been three weeks in a row of the Phantoms having a low penalty number. I think that's going to change this weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot about the Pandas on the broadcast. And you both just bowed your head at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you might hear about it, but like Justin said, find the mute button.
I think we're both in the same spot.
Yep.
Unless it's like the third period and we're up 9-0, then I'll turn the broadcast back on.
Yeah.
All right. So as always, remember that hockey is a sport played on ice with sticks and a puck, and our podcast is a thing you just listen to. See ya.
I love how we're all on the same page for that.
We're going to have an emergency phone call to Lipper. You talk about the game as we're watching together, please.
I've asked him that before. Can I just call you and you call the game over the phone while we're watching?
Get that cat off my phone as he hangs up on you.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Betting Network.
Join us on a numbers game where Gil Alexander takes you on an informative and entertaining ride, focusing on the numbers that fuel today's bettors.
The Pittsburgh defense is amazing. I'm not doubting that. You think it's impressive, but you don't get how impressive it is. Okay, Mr. Football, we get it.
in the end, there's Mahomes just waiting, laughing at your little rankings.
He sets the table as the money comes in each day, helping you become a sharper bettor. Catch a numbers game weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Stick around, some MLB futures at the bottom of the hour. Eclectic mix, I told you before the show started. True to our word, Nick Giffen joins us now from Action Network at RotoDoc on X. He's on the Progressive guest line. Time to talk Daytona 500 with a plethora of picks here. Appreciate the time, my friend. You look back at some of these big tickets that have cashed. Why do you think this race is so hard to handicap, and we've seen such big favorites cash the last couple years?
Yeah, Daytona is one of the two really big tracks along with Talladega. That's 2.5 miles or longer, steeply banked. And what NASCAR does is they set up an aerodynamic and an engine package that keeps all the cars tightly bunched together. And when they're all tightly bunched together, pretty much anybody can win. It's really easy to pass as long as you got the draft. And then when one driver makes a mistake, it can wreck out 20 drivers at once. So creates a lot of randomness. And when there's a lot of randomness, you get a lot of long shot winners.
Absolutely. Okay, so a 20-1 last year, 33-1, 33-1, 100-1. Two of them made your card here. How about Byron at 18-1?
Yeah, William Byron is the defending Daytona 500 winner. He has 2 Daytona wins and a runner-up finish in 14 career starts at Daytona. If we expand it to all the drafting tracks, he has 4 drafting track wins and 34 starts. William Byron, there's like 7 drivers, I would say, that are the elite of the elite drafting track drivers, and William Byron is one of those 7. You can't really take them shorter than like 18-1, though, because of what we talked about, this randomness. So thankfully, William Byron, of those 7 drivers that I consider super elite at drafting tracks, he is the one that falls outside that 16 to 18-1 range there, right at the cusp of that. So I definitely don't mind betting William Byron at 18-1.
All right, what about Cindric? I know you had him on your card and tying it into it because I think he's got to win here in the last 3 years. It does seem that even with the randomness, there is some weight to be held on some track history here, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Austin Cindric runs for Team Penske. Team Penske also has Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. They've won the last 3 NASCAR championships combined between his 2 teammates. Cindric hasn't won a championship, but he does have that Daytona 500 win a few years ago. And along with his teammate Logano, he's just one of 2 drivers to have led at least 13 laps at all 4 super speedway races last year. Daytona and Talladega each get 2 races a year. He led 5% of all the laps he's run at super speedways. You think it's so random. If you just randomize 5%, right? That's like 20-1. So, 25-1 is some very nice value there if he's leading randomly 5% of laps.
All right. How about Bubba Wallace, 25-1?
Yeah, Bubba Wallace, also one of the most aggressive drivers. And at super speedways, you need to be aggressive. You need to take positions away from drivers. You can't just you can coast around and ride, but you're not going to grab the lead that way. And Bubba Wallace is willing to be very aggressive. That's why he has a win here at Talladega, the other super speedway. And he's been very close at Daytona, very close at Atlanta, the other a little bit smaller drafting track. So I think Bubba Wallace is willing to do whatever it takes to win. I like 25-1 on him.
All right, let's round this out because you got some long shots in there with Gragson and Jones. So what's the thought process with these two?
Yeah, this one, the 2 are a little different. Noah Gragson, kind of a younger guy in his 2nd or 3rd full-time year, just like Bubba Wallace, extremely aggressive. Noah Gragson actually was in a teammate to Eric Jones a few years ago, and he nearly won a race at Talladega. He and Ross Chastain were leading, coming to a green flag on a late restart. They ended up wrecking each other trying to go for the win, and neither of them ended up winning. Well, now Gregson's gone over to a new team, or I shouldn't say a new team, but a new team for him, Front Row Motorsports, and they have a win at Daytona with Michael McDowell, that 100-1 winner a few years ago. So Front Row Motorsports very fast with that Ford power, and they also have an alliance with Team Penske. As far as Eric Jones is a previous Daytona winner himself, winning the summer race a handful of years ago. He's also won an exhibition race at Daytona, the preseason Clash that used to be at Daytona. And just like I talked about with Cindric, who's led 5% of all the laps he's run at super speedways, in this next-gen car, which debuted in 2022, Eric Jones has led a little more than 3.5% of all super speedway laps in the next-gen car, right? So that's like around 30-1 if you just picked a random lap he was leading. So I love getting him at 55-1.
All the money, Paulie and JVT VEASAN, the Sports Betting Network. Nick Giffen, our guest at RotoDoc on X. He's with the Action Networks on the Progressive guest line. So how about a prop here and a big price as well? Walk us through what you're thinking here with this prop.
Yeah, so I got a prop on John Hunter Nemechek to finish as the top Toyota driver at 22-1. He's also Eric Jones's teammate. So we just talked about Eric Jones. And John Hunter Nemechek has really performed well at these super speedways for, a smaller team, Legacy Motor Club that he and Eric Jones are on. There's only 11 Toyotas in the 40 or 41 car field, depending on the way qualifying and the dual races shake out tonight. So out of 11, if this race is really random, right, they all should be 10-1. So getting 22 is a really nice number considering John Hunter Nemechek in 5 of his 8 career super speedway starts has finished 11th or better. That usually puts him around second or third in his manufacturer, in this case, Toyota. So he just needs maybe one more Toyota spot to get that top Toyota, and he's been very close several times.
So we've gone over the best bets in terms of the outrights and the Toyota, or excuse me, the top finisher there. Do you do any matchups? Are there any matchups that stuck out to you at all?
I do matchups, but the thing with super speedway racing is because everything is so highly random, you really need kind of a big edge, and most books are pricing both sides, minus 110 each. And when things are about 50-50, you're just essentially paying the juice. So you really want to be looking for some plus money matchups. If you find some plus money matchups out there, especially if you're getting beyond like plus 110 and the equipment of the cars are relatively equal, then I think you go ahead and take the plus money almost blindly. But other than that, it's pretty tough because sportsbooks know, these races are so random.
I've been in this space for about 10, 12 years. I don't recall this. You do NASCAR and you do college basketball player props?
That's right. I love college basketball. I got actually my gambling, so-called career started just over a decade ago doing daily fantasy college basketball. So I've got my own projection model. I have a PhD in mathematics, right? So I love building projections. And so I project player props, and now I bet them. And, they've been going very, very well since I joined Action Network.
So you're going to break down Gonzaga and San Fran later, and you'll tweet out a player prop?
Yeah, if I find something of value, I'll definitely tweet it out on my X handle at RotoDoc. Some games there isn't any value. I looked at Maryland and Nebraska earlier today, and I couldn't find much value. But San Fran and Gonzaga, because they're a little bit smaller market teams, sometimes it's a little bit easier to find value on player props.
All right, we'll look forward to that. I appreciate it. Good luck, and thanks for a few minutes.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thanks, Nick. Well done. Those are the plays. Byron, Cedric, Wallace, Gregson, Jones, and then John Hunter, top Toyota, 22-1, some big shots. And again, looking back, 20-1, 33-1, 33-1, 100-1. Your winners the last 4 years. NFL news, it's official, the divorce. Jets moving on from Rodgers. And now what do? And a couple people throwing out Cousins, Fields, Dart. One offshore book has, if it's not Tyrod Taylor, what the odds would be. Cousins is 7-1. Fields is 3-1.
Is Cousins? You can't do that financially, can you? With what you're going to eat with Rodgers and everything that's going to happen there,
that's a fair point,
right?
I know.
Would you want to take on that contract?
Maybe they run it back with Taylor and go draft. Apparently, they're interested in Dart.
Yeah, apparently everybody is.
I don't get it.
Have you seen this? Like everybody's plan is get a bridge, draft Jackson Dart. Apparently, that despite the fact that Dart, for some reason, is not in the running to be the first overall pick, he is the end-all, be-all plan to get him ready to be the starting quarterback for your franchise in a year. I just wonder if he's not in the running for the first pick, why is he the slam dunk to be the developmental guy?
Right. Cleveland Rumors are Danny Dimes, Fields, Darnold, and Russell Wilson.
Russ makes sense.
And then I would like to I would trade Garrett and then get a haul too. I would do that. And again, I don't think Cam Ward goes number 1 or number 2. And then the other news that Pittsburgh called Jacksonville about Lawrence. And whether it was internet conjecture or whatever, but if they offered a 1 and a 2 for this guy, I mean, you got to be kidding me. That's a snap call if I'm Jacksonville to get that. And number 1, get off this contract. 5 for $275.
The only reason you hang up is because you call other teams to see if you can get more.
Yeah, right.
And then you call them back. You're like, all right, let's do this thing.
Oh, that's nuts. But apparently Pittsburgh's going for it. And then at DraftKings, Rodgers is 2-1 to go to the Steelers. And then at one offshore book, he's minus 160 to go to Pittsburgh.
-1, I would take the no if I could, if that would. There's just no way. That's oil and water. There's no way Tomlin would deal with Rodgers doing the thing, McAfee talking, doing everything he does every single week.
What's funny you bring that up, though, too, but we didn't know Brown and Bell were cuckoo at the time.
Right.
But the job he did, Brown was a saint.
He kept him down.
Yeah, he did.
Le'Veon Bell, too.
There was never an issue.
Yeah.
And it turned out they were nuts, especially Brown.
I mean, unless he can bring him in and, get that crazy down a little bit.
But there's pressure there, though, too. I mean, the fan base has had enough. I mean, can you win a playoff game here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's okay, great, I get it. You never have a losing record. But can you win a playoff game?
You've been held back by your quarterback position the entire time.
No, that's
you
fair.
need to do something.
That's the best way to say it, too. Right, right.
You need to do something. And getting Lawrence might get it for you. You have to upgrade the quarterback position. The Kenny Pickett's, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson's, all these guys they would try to do it with, can't do it.
And they're free agents. But I was going to say it's night and day between globally and what DraftKings has with the Rodgers numbers. Because with the Rodgers stuff, it's either Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and then there's everyone else.
Yep.
And then with DK, everyone's bunched up. And I certainly think no Minnesota, no chance. No San Francisco as well. It was a wild night in the world of sports. Some huge upsets and 2 vicious beats. We'll recap it, win, lose, coming up next.
With the Bloomberg Business of Sports report, I'm Michael Barr. A staffer at FIFA has reportedly been arrested in Miami on suspicion of having sex with an underage boy while on a work trip from Zurich last year. The World Soccer Body opened a United States base in Coral Gables in 2023. It also moved its legal department there from headquarters in Zurich. The news comes as the first 32-team club World Cup being played in 11 U.S. cities opens June 14th in Miami. Gambling operator Stake, the front-of-shirt sponsor of Everton Soccer Club, is shutting down in the UK after a regulatory investigation into its advertising practices. The Gambling Commission will warn Everton and 2 other soccer clubs with unlicensed sponsors of the risk of promoting illegal gambling sites, and club officers may face prosecution if they promote unlicensed gambling businesses. With the Bloomberg Business of Sports report, I'm Michael Barr, brought to you by Dell.com.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
situation. We've had trades rescinded before. We have never had a challenge of the rescission. I guess there's still a chance Mark Williams could end up in LA. We will see how this plays out over the All-Star break, but certainly, the Lakers gave up a lot in that trade that was supposed to go down, and I think they would do it again because they are left with very few options right now. They need to add at least one, if not two, just bodies.
Prop Points, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Hornets Magic under 208.5 down to 202. Ice cream. Rocky Road, 102.86, no problem. Oh, boy. The Nets +3 to -2. Did you see what Paul George did?
No, because he didn't do anything. What is this guy doing?
He had 2 points in 30-some minutes.
I think I told you yesterday, the Clippers were roundly mocked for letting him walk. This is why. He's been awful this year, and you saw it coming from a mile away.
Pay him $200 million.
Yep.
He's got 3 years left on the deal.
Yep. You two of the worst contracts maybe in the NBA, both on the same team.
Yes, I know. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'll tell you, the people, the Raptors stuff, the Nets, that stuff's not crazy. Participate in the play.
Participate in the play. Yep.
I mean, the Sixers are a joke.
The Nets might not be. The Nets might be crazy because I think they want to lose. Toronto doesn't, though. And when Ingram's healthy, they'll throw him right in there.
Okay. Now the Bulls embarrassed themselves again. Pistons from 4 up to 6.5. The Bulls got run out. The Clippers from 4 up to 6.5. Took control and buried Memphis. And the Thunder from 12.5 up to 14. They won by 14. Win somehow so bad for the books. The Rockets from 6 up to 9. Won by 8. Jazz +320. Shocked the Lakers. Bucks +350. Surprised Minnesota. Mavs +260. Beat the Warriors. College hoops. Iowa +210. Tulsa +330. Florida State +220 on the money line. Super Bowl. Super Bowl handle. New York held 40%. We held 16. New Jersey 14. Pennsylvania lost $6 million on the game.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. New York held 40%.
And what do they hate? The Chiefs? Are they all betting Saquon Barkley anytime touchdowns out there?
I would say same game parlays. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos at Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Thanks to Ann, Chris, Greg, Seth, Winky Duck, Scott, regular guy, Jamie, you know who you are. You send them in every day. Thank you. Look at the dog trying to get the treat. Okay. So checking out. He's got the counter. Get there up there, big fella. Okay. See that? And he's trying to get the paw. I'm going to get that.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah. And then he's got it.
You got to let him have it.
Yeah. No. And they caught him. And no. Yeah.
You got to let him have it after all that work.
Yeah. He knocked it down on the ground. And that's what my guy Jordan does. And my guy, remember I had a friend, Joe, is Petey. Petey would come up there. He was a short guy. And he would try to knock it on the ground. And then eat it right away.
Yeah,
because it's hard to get up there on the cabinet and the counter to get it. And that's what this guy did eventually in well played. We stay with that theme where the dog's trying to steal or get snacks. And here was, hey, I'm fine. Okay, but my brother got into that ice cream here in the milk.
Oh, boy.
He's wearing it all over the face. I think it's a pit bull or a bully. Look at this. One guy's fine. The other guy just wearing it. His whole face is white from the snack. I think you can get the ice cream all over him. Oh, my God.
It always amazes me how much dogs can express guilt. They know exactly what's going on.
Yes, and they'll point the guy out who did it, too. Thanks who sent this in today. This is awesome. This is Peanut. Hey, Peanut, you want to go for a swim? Want to go swimming? He knows. Runs right into the room, gets the vest. They put the vest on. He's going outside, ready, cannonball, and bam, nails it. Just comes around. How smart is this guy? It's swimming time, backyard, get the vest, come run in, cannonball. Get out. Rinse and repeat. Let's do it again. Beautiful backyard. More from Peanuts. Yeah. Serious hang time. That is awesome.
Impress me if you put the jacket on, too.
Sure. Absolutely. Peanut. Well done. Lose some. Timberwolves. 5.5 up to 9.5. Lost. Lakers. 7.5 up to 9. Lost. Warriors. 4 up to 8. Lost. Bad beats. Vicious. Heat +12 +13. 13.5 for 14. Led. Now you're getting 14 or 13, whatever, led by 21, and then outscored 32-8 in the fourth quarter. They've had numerous fourth quarter melts this year.
I'm telling you, too, man, that flu looked like a team that was really sick. Dealing with it in that fourth quarter completely fell apart.
Yeah.
And OKC, they are relentless, man. Situation, spot, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They keep coming.
Yeah. And Arizona State 11-1 on the money line. Texas Tech scored at the buzzer to force overtime, and they won in double OT. Wyoming was a huge price, too. They led New Mexico. That game by 10 at the half. That game was tied late.
Yep.
And New Mexico was, 17, 16 in that game?
Yep. The truth. Don't worry. Lobos are great.
All right. I hope you're right. Sports betting never slows down. Neither should you. Daytona 500 this weekend. We have a guest on in an hour to preview it. NBA, NHL in full swing. Got the golf. Scheffler leads the Genesis right now. MLB futures. Here come the Red Sox and the madness right around the corner. Start betting smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription. Everything that's up there, the prop analyzer, the Mackinnon daily trends. It's awesome. Little as $9.99. Get that daily email from Bill 80. Every pick, every host, every guest. How about Russ Reynolds? 3 of the last 4 golf outrights. VSiN.com/subscribe. There you go. Great job to the fellas. We have a 3-way tie at the Genesis. Power, Rogers, and Scheffler 3 under. Low scores. Rain wreaking havoc. Thompson, Clark, McCarthy, and Glover all 2 under. Rory's even. And Hovland's 1 over now, too. So there's your update with the golf as well. And you go to the front page of ESPN.com. It says, welcome to the Myles Garrett sweepstakes. Who's going to step up? Who can make a move that'll put him over the top like Stallone? And the list that, right, I mean, you got to agree with the list. Bills, Lions, Chargers. Can you imagine? Also, the Eagles are on that list, but I mean, is it scary? Imagine that defense. They had him and his defending champs, but it's a game changer for the Bills and the Lions. Chargers are a pretty good defense, but that would be awesome. And I'm telling you, I'm open for business if I'm Cleveland. I stunk this year. 2 years ago, I had the worst defense in the league in road games. I go on the road in a playoff game, and I can't slow anybody down, right? It was a great story what happened when Flacco fever. But, I mean, how can you not be open for business with all your needs if you're Cleveland? I would just say, okay, let's talk right now.
I would not understand why they wouldn't be willing to do this. You're not going anywhere. You got to rebuild this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the ass, and you could turn this thing around so quickly too. If you ship off Garrett, considering what you're going to get, if you do it the right way, you won't be rebuilding that long. And we've seen the turnarounds happen quickly. Houston turned it around really quickly. Now they're arguably the best team in that division.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Washington Commanders turn it around really quickly. They at least have a bright future. Not the best team in their division. Look like they're going to be at least a perennial playoff contender. If you handle things the right way in a rebuild, you can turn things around in that league very fast. So you got to be able to do it right. And I think they could do it. But I don't know why you wouldn't be open for business. There's no way.
Yeah. And I was just a playoff team. Can I go Sam Darnold or Russell Wilson, get a haul for Garrett, and piece it together and get back to 8-9 wins? Is that possible? I could draft a quarterback too.
Right. But, yeah, of course. I mean, maybe. I don't think those two options are great at quarterback. We'll see.
I don't. Yeah.
Especially if the Darnold that showed up in the last two games is going to be that. But
no kidding. But that goes back to there's not, how much is out there. What am I going to do?
Right.
I don't hate Mariota if I could do that as well, but it's not I would want Sam over Dimes or Fields. And I don't want Cousins either.
The other thing that this is actually, it's similar to Washington as well, because remember, they're also picking second. So you have the second overall pick.
Yeah.
You ship off Garrett for the assets you're going to get there. You spark that rebuild immediately. Again, you absolutely flip this thing in a very quick way if you handle things the proper way. And as we're discussing, it could be Abdul Carter with the first pick. So you're sitting there getting whatever pick you want of the quarterbacks that are going to potentially be available.
Damn right.
Whatever assets you get back for Garrett.
How about you get your picks back for the Watson debacle?
Whatever it's going to be, right?
Sure.
So then all of a sudden, just like that, you're cooking with gas and you're right back where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any question that you try to move this or move him right now.
Other teams on the list to make a move. Now, would it put him over the top? No, but it's a game changer. Bears, Colts, Washington. I mean, Washington made the NFC title game, and they were awful against the run.
Their defense was atrocious.
I know.
They were getting away with murder both rounds. Yep.
I can't believe they made it that far.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense. The problem is, I think the argument against it you make for Washington is, again, you want to strike when the iron's hot. but maybe your iron's not as hot as you think it is, right? In that you're going to ship off assets to go and get Myles Garrett, and then all of a sudden you're actually more like a middling 500 team that doesn't really have a good shot at actually winning this.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with acquiring this guy with him, and you're not as good as you thought you were. Again, I understand that Jaden Daniels looked great, but we have seen these quarterbacks take these steps back. CJ Stroud was the co-favorite to win MVP before this year started.
I haven't asked you, how do you think Ben Johnson will do? And with Williams?
I think he'll do well. I'm still in on Caleb Williams. Again,
as am I.
I can't believe people are watching this offseason, or this football season, where you watched Bryce Young completely revitalize his career. And there's people with straight faces going, Williams is done toast. How could you make that pick? He's terrible. These guys revitalize their careers all the time.
With a horrible coaching staff.
Yes. Yep. We see it all the time. You don't think Johnson could do it?
Yeah.
Johnson's a weird guy. Who cares?
Yep. Right. Give me, how about with Chargers? What if they get a star wide receiver and acquire Garrett?
Chiefs take a step back, which seems somewhat likely.
Could
be the best team in that division.
A lot happened last night in Major League Baseball. The Red Sox are a playoff team. I'll tell you why, and why a win total I bet yesterday as well. Follow the money. VSiN, Sirius XM Channel 158, live from Circa.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and when I want to catch up with Youngstown sports, I tune in to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Big news last night. The Red Sox come in late and over the top to get Bregman, who has unbelievable numbers, career at Fenway, 3-year deal, and they paid $10 million more than any other team, $120 million. So he's going to play second base. So now they've added Bregman, Chapman, Buehler, and Crochet. Your rotation now is Houck, Crochet, Bello, Crawford, and then you got Hendricks and Chapman out of the bullpen. You pick up a big stick like Bregman. Cora wanted him in the worst way. The fan base wanted him to spend money and make something happen. If they had their hands up the last couple of years about what's going on here, we win all these World Series, and now we're not spending money, and it was the same old song and dance of, oh, we were close. Oh, we were in it at the end, and then we couldn't make it happen. But now you make it happen, and you get a star like Bregman with, as I mentioned, awesome career numbers in Fenway, and could have made and should have made the playoffs last year. But the bullpen was atrocious in the second half, blew so many games. You think you've solved that. I think this is a playoff team. Minus 105 to make it at DraftKings, plus 425 to win the division, and the season wins 86.5.
You would also hope that Bregman improves their infield defense. Their infield defense sucked last year. It was a big reason why some of those bullpens were having the issues they were. I'm just always hesitant to buy guys that are 30 or older coming off of a year in which he was at his worst, or some of his career worst numbers. The lowest walk rate we've seen since his first year in the majors. Batting average is fine, but his on-base percentage is the worst that we have seen since his first year in the majors. And we can go down the list of what he did last year and how it didn't compare with the guy that we knew who he was and has been. So that, I think, worries you. At the same time, he did bust out of the slump he was at the beginning of the year. Longevity, for the most part, I mean, the last 3 years, Paul, he's played 145-plus games, so you think you're probably going to get a good amount of games out of him here. Generally has been a symptom of his career. He's a guy that's available. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Now, the problem is, of course, if he's not good this year, he's got the powers. I think he's got the opt-outs, right, each of the next 2 years. So
I know.
If he stinks, then you're stuck with him, and he's going to opt in each of those.
I don't see that happening, though. But
I worry if that's going to be the case, though, because what is going to be the turn? I mean, he was a steep drop-off in terms of walk rate, 12.7% in 2023, 6.9% last year. The previous low was 8.8% back in 2017. On-base percentage, 315. Last time he had hit that low was his first year, 313. I just wonder if that's a symptom of sign of things to come, or if he's going to bounce back after a rough year. And it's always tough when you have that at the spot of being 30 years old and getting older. But other than that, I mean, look, there were teams that's competed for a potential play-in, or a playoff spot last year. I would think that they're going to be good enough in that division and in the American League to push for one of these spots.
Better than Baltimore?
I think that Baltimore is a team that is worth looking under on the win total. Absolutely. I'm not a fan of teams when you look at a win total that's a little bit higher than it was last year. You lost a piece in the rotation, and a big part of the handicap of this team being better is, hey, these young guys are coming, and they're going to be a lot better this year. And just banking on projected improvement from young pieces as opposed to having a team where at least have some known commodities of what you're going to get if we project it out, I would tend to look under on Baltimore. And again, too, like we're talking about here, the teams behind them are getting better. At the very least, Boston is going to get better. So those divisional games also, the potential that you lose more divisional games is going to be there as well with the potential improvement of of Boston too. So I think Baltimore is a candidate to go under the win total for sure.
You see the odds to win the World Series? The Dodgers are as low as plus 275. Incredible. Braves plus 750, Yankees 8-1, Mets and Phillies 12-1. The Mets are plus 280, the third choice to win the East. And then Houston 15, Baltimore 17, Boston 20-25, along with Arizona and Minnesota. The other news, the Padres get Pivetta, 4 for 55. They hadn't done anything in the offseason, lost Profar, lost Scott, but now getting Pivetta, your rotation is Cease, Darvish, King, Pavetta, Waldron, and their win total 85.5, plus 110 to make the playoffs. What do you think of the Friars?
Lineup should be good, right?
Damn right.
I mean, the lineup should be great.
Yeah.
When you're talking about their potential to score here with the rise of Tatis at the top, if Jackson Merrill continues to do what we saw him do last year, obviously Machado and Cronenworth there, like this should be a lineup that is very effective.
This is something they had to do because Musgrove had the Tommy John.
Right. So I think when you look at it, it's just a back end of the rotation. When you're talking about Darvish, Pivetta, I think Kyle Hart's one of those guys that's on there too, like projected to be part of the regular rotation at the back end. What does that look like for you here? But I think the bullpen should be pretty solid again. And if you have an offense that is good enough to support these guys that maybe are going to be average-ish behind the top of your rotation, you got enough to be a competitive team. I don't know if it's enough to win a World Series, but you're talking about making the playoffs. I don't see why this team couldn't do what they were doing. I think last year, if you really dive into what they did in that hot run around All-Star break heading into that second half, a lot of it was fool's gold, a lot of bad teams, but they beat up on the bad teams, and you get credit for that. But I don't think they're as good, and we kind of learned that there in that Dodger series. But I think their potential is good enough to be a playoff team for sure.
I was hoping the Cubs were going to get Bregman. They added Boyd, Presley, and Tucker in the offseason. And then the Battle of New York as Soto goes from the Yankees to the Mets. If the Mets have enough pieces, I like what you said earlier, though. Can you get that out of your starting pitching as Maneo was so good down the stretch? And even Peterson, I mean, what they were doing with that rotation might have been a bit of a fluke. And then the Yankees, your rotation is going to be Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schmidt, and Heel, and they also added Bellinger. And the Yankees plus 110 at DraftKings to win the division. Here's what I played. Oh, you're going to say something?
No, I was just like going back to the Mets, what we were talking about. The pitching staff does kind of worry you a little bit, right?
Yep.
If Senga's going to be healthy, I think he can be a really good player. If Manaea regresses, though, and then projected the rest of this thing, Frankie Montas is going to be potentially part of this too.
I don't never liked Frankie Bag of Donuts.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know if I like all of the pieces that you're talking about here around this rotation. So, look, if Senga's going to come back and he's going to be fully healthy and he's going to be the guy that many people expected, and Manaea gives you even shades of what he was last year, then I think you're going to have something there. But I do worry about how that rotation holds up.
Right. And some people, this bothers them. I know Chris Russo hates it. I mean, come on, give me a break here. Gee whiz, the Dodgers. I mean, but this, the payroll and how they've structured this and as low as plus 275 to win the World Series. I bet the win total over 103.5. This is ridiculous. You get the news that Ohtani will be in the rotation in May.
Gross.
Their rotation is Snell, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Sasaki, Glasnow. Even if they want to use them, Kershaw, and then you pick up Yates and Scott in the offseason to go along with you won the championship, the world, and then to go along with this great offense that you have.
It's disgusting.
I mean, even the key pieces weren't even doing anything. It's like, okay, where's the Tommy Edman? Here's another guy that we don't need Mookie to do much. Ohtani doesn't have a great World Series, and still all our pitchers are hurt.
Yep.
We go with openers, and we still win the damn thing.
Yep.
By committee.
They're better than they were.
They are. It's not even close.
They're so much better.
You get Snell and Sasaki.
And there's I guess at your own peril, bet under the win total, or come here in the two-way markets, bet that no in the World Series. But it seems so clear and obvious that they're the best team outside of what the randomness of baseball provides once you get to the postseason.
I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned if they don't win 100 games.
Right. They should get there. They should get to 100 plus wins, and then I guess short series against one of these teams, and all of a sudden you're looking up and you're down.
Yeah, that I'll agree with.
Right? The
I
randomness
would think, yes,
of what
the
that
randomness,
is.
someone, a bloop and a blast, someone steals a game,
We were talking about
shuts
it earlier.
them down.
Yeah, for 3 games, all of a sudden your lineup is just smoking like 100-mile-hour line drives just straight to defenders, right? The stupidness of baseball, maybe that's what gets you. But this team on paper, I don't know why you would make the case against them at all. It's annoying.
Oh, man. Oh, they win the World Series, and they improve immensely what they're able to do. And the big one, Ohtani's going to pitch now. We got that as well.
Yeah.
We have Ohtani in there.
I remember that postseason. They were like, maybe he comes back actually in the World Series.
Yeah.
It's gross.
I know. How about the Tigers?
Like it?
Yeah.
I mean, you like the pitching, obviously. You get Flaherty back, right? And a division that looks pretty open on paper as it usually does.
I don't want the Twins.
Outside of the Royals, I like the Royals a ton. I mean, I think you have some questions like, hey, I think they really, I don't want to say they pitched above their skis, some of the guys they had in that rotation last year, but you definitely got some out of the park performances for some of the dudes. that you have on that rotation. Is that going to happen again? But you have arguably the best overall player in baseball. And when you talk about both ways, and Bobby Witt Jr., and he carried that team throughout the year. Could do it again.
Is this going to be a runaway in the NL Central? I mean, everyone just says Cubs could win 90 games, and no one's even coming close when you look at the odds of Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. And Milwaukee's going to be down, too.
It seems like the 17th year in a row where we're talking about Cincinnati potentially coming out. I mean, maybe you make the case there. Their rotation, though, man, I don't know. You look at the guys that are projected and what some of them guys, some of their numbers are. From Singer, Abbott, Martinez, Lodolo, maybe there's going to be some steps forward in some of this progression for some of these guys, like a Lodolo maybe takes a step forward. But you're talking about projected ERAs of over 4 for every guy that's projected to be the starting rotation outside of Green. I don't know.
It'll be fun. And we got the betting guy. Yep, got the betting guy coming out
Grinding
soon.
through these regular season games every day. It's awesome.
Yep. Up next, what we're betting. Good mix as well. College hoops, NBA, a future up there, and a women's college basketball game straight ahead on VSiN. Follow the money. The Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Get the VSiN Watch app.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers. T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and Shelter Pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
You see these props going to pop up. Do you think they're going to be inflated early on?
I would caution people on, the triple doubles, the double doubles. I just don't think it's there. I'd just be cautionary on the ones that we're used to seeing him because his usage as a Dallas Maverick was so exponentially higher. And I don't think we have an answer for that, Dave, probably for at least the first 3 to 4 weeks.
VSiN by the books, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The guy has an algorithm to determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day.
No way.
I'll give you 3 to 1 odds.
Nope.
5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're out.
All right, would have been nice to sweep the board, but go 2-0 with the props. Brunson with a phenomenal game in the Knicks win against Atlanta. He goes over 27.5 points, and Luka well under 24.5 points. I'm going to keep playing Luka props under. So he looks like regular Luka, and he brings the ball up a little bit more as well. Rockets open 6, close 9, won by 8. So going to get there with the Rockets. I think the power rating on the Dallas Mavericks is off, and Gonzaga. I'm going to take the second-place team in the West Coast tonight, who just beat St. Mary's, catching a bunch against the Zags. So Gonzaga has to win, get off this 8-9 line that they're on right now. But certainly this team that started off on fire, which had a great win against Baylor and was so good to start the season. Now that's some bad losses here and bad performances. I'll take 14.5 with San Francisco. And we'll go to the Summit League. We'll go Omaha, South Dakota State over. Omaha, 152.5. Let's go to our friend Brian Edwards at Vegas B. Edwards on X. These teams met January 11th. It was 87-80. Flew over the total. Head-to-head, the rivalry, it's on a 6-1 overrun. The over is cashed at a 9-3 clip for Omaha last 12. Omaha's 51st nationally in three-point accuracy. It's the Jackrabbits like to jack it as well. So I'll go over here, and I love the Summit League games. Those have been high-scoring. I'll go back with that one.
Now watch that phrasing.
Yeah, okay. I see what you said. The Norman Powell over 23.5. No Kawhi. Coffee questionable. Powell is on a 30-14 overrun with his points prop. Check that out every day with the VSiN prop analyzer. And Utah is not going to slow them down tonight. I think Powell gets his over 23.5. Dodgers over 103.5 wins. It's a joke. It's a joke, this team. It's an all-star team. They win the World Series and improve big time. And pick up Snell, and you get Ohtani in the rotation and also Sasaki. And now this is wild. Every single book, UCLA women are favored tonight, except DraftKings. They're catching 1.5. Okay, so take the 1.5 with UCLA against USC, and UCLA, the number one team in the country, 23-0, 22 of the wins by double digits. I'll take UCLA tonight, catching 1.5 against USC. There you go.
Superbook's got him $1.35 on the money line. UCLA minus 102 over at DraftKings. So again, shop around.
Okay.
30-cent difference there. By the way, Kyrie Irving officially ruled out today as his Klay Thompson just came down.
Oh, they're both out?
Yeah. It's going to be tough. Celtics minus 8 last night. Good win. Was in control most of the game. Number of play there. Again, on a neutral, man. You're talking about 2.5 point difference because of home court. It's not only a 5.5 point difference there. Thought it was cheap today.
What's going on with them?
Spurs?
So disappointed.
Remember
that Fox likes, watch out. Good luck stopping us. I mean, you can't.
Well, that's true, but they can't stop anybody.
I know.
Their defense is terrible. 2 plays today. Rockets minus 1.5 against the Warriors. Again, number play here. Even with Fred VanVleet out, I think this team rates better. You're not rating the Warriors as a better team. Second leg of a back-to-back. Warriors pretty desperate. Injury card clean. Looked smart. It was 6.5 this morning. Now back down to 1.5. Lay 1.5 with the Rockets. And then Jokic MVP 4-1. Added that to the card. I already have a little bit more on him at like 250, but it's been climbing. But added a little bit more, Paul. Straw poll out tomorrow.
Yep.
I find it hard to believe that the gap between those two has completely flipped when he had a first-place vote lead of over 20 votes at the end of December. Just don't believe that to be the case. So Jokic MVP 4-1.
I'm with you in I'm with you in Wes on South Florida as well.
Yeah.
I like this Memphis team, but that's a lot to be laying 7 on the road tonight, and you don't trust them on the road. And the Heat are 3 here at Circa. Clay and Kyrie are out.
Yep,
it's 3, and we'll see if if Bam's in too. And the Clippers are up.
Still not a good spot for it, man. Second leg
No,
back
I
to
know.
back dealing with the flu. Yeah. All-Star break tomorrow.
Thunder up to 9.5 at Minnesota on the TNT game. Oh, boy. Betting on sports? Why not try the races? First Bet lets you wager on hundreds of horse races every day. Top tracks across the U.S. and around the world. Sign up firstbet.com. Promo code VSIN200. Claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days. Up to $200. Head to firstbet.com today. Great to meet Barry from Calgary before the show. He's hanging out here at Circa. And come on down, circalasvegas.com, by the way, VSIN15. Get 15% off any of the 3 properties owned by Derek Stevens, Circa, the D, or Golden Gate.
Got some updates for you, too, injury-wise.
Sure.
So Irving's out. Thompson's out. Anthony Edwards officially game-time decision, but Mike Conley will not play. Neither will Rudy Gobert. So Timberwolves punting it away as they enter the All-Star break, essentially.
Still a game-time decision? We're an hour away.
Anthony Edwards, yeah.
Right. Man, if he doesn't play, oh, man.
We've seen, what was it, 3 nights ago against New Orleans with Oklahoma City, where Oklahoma City absolutely just dismantled them. So they're capable of doing this, beating the crap out of some of these teams.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you know what they're doing Sunday, the NBA?
I honestly have not paid attention at all. I have no idea what they're doing.
Well, I think it's first to 40 in a couple games. And I don't know if this is true, but like Kevin Hart is talking over the game.
Oh, really?
So I heard some. I don't know what the hell they're doing, because like they just threw their hands up because of what's transpired the last couple All-Star games, and it's. I think it's a bunch of first to 40 games.
Yeah, in a mini tournament of 4 teams in 3 games,
and it's Team Chuck,
yep,
Team Kenny, Team Candace, and Team I don't know Ernie. I don't know who the other team. Ah, boy.
Yeah, let's see. For each game, the winner will be the first team to reach or surpass 40 points. The winning teams from Game 1 and Game 2 will advance to face each other in the championship. I guess. I don't know.
I used to love this. The 3-point and the slam dunk.
I still like those. I mean, slam dunk stinks.
Well, no one does it anymore.
Yeah, Mac McClung can't be your lead slam dunk star.
Why don't the superstars do it? The fear of losing? Who cares?
I mean, that, or what you really need to do is, if you're going to steer into it, go get, there's a lot of guys who are great in terms of the slam dunk artistry, YouTube, social media, things that. Really steer into it. Go get those guys to perform, right? Have a slam dunk competition with these guys who actually do stuff on social media with it. They have cult followings. Maybe you really get into the youth, if you will really pay attention.
Good point. I always thought baseball should do that with the home run derby.
Sure.
It should have been McGuire, Canseco. Just get these guys who can hit it a mile.
Yeah.
Why not make it a freak show?
Yep.
That's what I would have done.
But
give them an aluminum bat too.
I've never really cared too much for the All-Star game, so do whatever. You can tell me it's gone tomorrow and I wouldn't really care.
Yeah.
I like the skills competition. I like the 3-point competition. The 3-point competition is basketball's home run derby, right? You're watching these guys that are awesome, just chuck it. That's a lot of fun. That's fun to bet too, but All-Star game, who cares? Give them the day off. If you're going to do it, by the way, why not do it the Saturday before the Super Bowl and be in action this week?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first week after the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to pay attention.
Yeah, what they're doing, both sports. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, then you have this four-nation face-off in hockey, and then you have this. Well, this is your time to shine.
Yeah, we'll talk to Jonathan Davis tomorrow about the 4 nations, and Canada won in overtime, and they were, I think, a $2.50 favorite. We are $4 tonight against Finland. Jeff Davis.
Wow, it's been climbing while we've been here.
Jeff Davis here at Circa makes them $3. We're $4 against Finland. It's a round robin, and then everyone plays Saturday, and then I think USA Canada Saturday, and then I think the championship is next Thursday. So, in a total 6, but $4 here against Finland, and Sweden certainly was game after being down 2 goals. And what's Canada's first? Is it, who was it? Is it McDavid, Crosby, and McKinnon? Is that their first line? I mean, come on. Scored a minute into the game. All right, looking forward to great job, John. It was a lot of fun. Palms in tomorrow. Don't be that guy. Looking forward to this list. All his years in the casino business. Don't do this at the casino. Frank Schwab to talk NFL. Richie Bachelari on the college hoops card. Lou Finicaro, UFC. Red Sox guest and Davis on hockey as well. And we'll sneak in Nigel with some soccer plays. Prime time comes up next. Cashing out, Joe Serralo, and buy the books tomorrow. Start your day at 7 a.m. as well. That's what's coming up, so we'll look forward to that.
Greg Peterson in for Joe. Joe has a numbers game duty.
Yes. Thank you.
So if you're tuning in to look at a handsome face of Joe Sorrell, you get an even more handsome one in Greg Peterson.
You're right. Not the best card tonight in college, but I like Wes Reynolds play Bakersfield first half against UC San Diego. They're catching a big number, and maybe if you want to go San Francisco first half, I guess the thinking is if they're going to hang in there, they'll come out and play well at the first half. I think McCarthy now your leader at the Genesis. That'd be a nice ticket if he can get first round leader. I think he might be able to pull that off. Last check as well. So thanks to all the guests, and remember, go to Roto Doc on X for that prop play. If he has one on Gonzaga and San Francisco, Nick Giffen as well, that he does college player props in hoops as well. Thanks to all the guests. Thanks to the crew. Back tomorrow. Loaded show. And stick around for VSiN Prime Time coming up next. Sirius XM Channel 158. Get the VSiN Watch app, VSiN.com, wherever you may be. Catch us everywhere live from Circa. Have a good one. Cash some tickets. Talk to you tomorrow.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. The Cavaliers head into the All-Star break tied for the most wins in the league. They pounded the Raptors 131-108 last night. It was their 44th victory of the season. They keep pace with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat Miami 115-101 to improve to 44-9. Cleveland led at 41-17 after the first quarter. Donovan Mitchell had 21 points, leading the Cavs to their 8th win in the last 9 games in their 4th straight. Evan Mobley had a double-double, 12 points, 15 rebounds. So did Jarrett Allen, 13 points and 10 boards. Women's hoops tonight, number 9 Ohio State plays host to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Buckeyes women are 9-3 in the Big Ten, but they've lost 2 in a row. They're chasing USC and UCLA in the race for first in the Big Ten. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
Friday is Valentine's Day, so if you still have shopping to do, then it's time to get to Macy's, because we make finding the perfect gift so easy. How easy? We have last-minute gifts that feel truly thoughtful, like fragrance gift sets from Yves Saint Laurent, Carolina Herrera, and Marc Jacobs, boxed and ready to give. Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that. So head to Macy's and make their Valentine's Day a little more special, and your life a little bit easier. But hurry in, because you're almost out of time. These deals start tomorrow at Macy's.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen Report.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
The stations that always keep you in the zone.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast, Youngstown, Ohio. This is VSiN Primetime.
Kellen Moore, every indication was that he was going to be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. That is indeed done. Do we think this is going to work?
I don't think Kellen Moore is a automatic, outstanding hire. I think it's probably as good a hire as the Saints could make at this point. It was going to be Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy, right? Here's the key. If it's going to work for Moore in New Orleans, he's going to have to find a quarterback. Yeah, who's it going to be?
Catch VSiN Primetime weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN Prime Time. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are off and running on a Thursday evening alongside Matt Humans. I am Tim Murray. We're live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada, as we are getting close to a pretty loaded weekend of college hoops. Number one, Auburn visiting number 2, Alabama, one of a number of big-time games this upcoming weekend. We have a couple of ranked teams in action tonight, as number 14 Memphis will be on the road at South Florida, and number 25 Maryland on the road at Nebraska. Also in action late night tonight, Matt, you've got the Zags of Gonzaga, who have been struggling a little bit, at least per their standards, as they will take on San Francisco at home tonight. Final night before the NBA All-Star Game and first round of the Genesis Invitational wrapping up at Torrey Pines. Remember, not at the Riv this year due to the wildfires in LA, so at Torrey Pines. And right now, the pride of the DMV, Denny McCarthy, in first at 4 under. Matt, what's up, man?
Not much. First time it's rained in Vegas in 215 days. How about that trend that ended today? And it's kind of dreary out there, but it's needed. You know, we do have a good college hoops card tonight. Nebraska hosting Maryland. That's going to be a featured game we talked about. Late night, not only do you have Gonzaga in action, but you have UC Irvine. You have Hawaii. We got some late night games we can break down tonight, maybe some best bets. And we will also announce, you can find it up on the website right now, vsin.com. We got to build the suspense. We are going to announce all the details and contestants in the Circa College Hoops Challenge.
It's back, baby.
The third annual. It is back, and it's bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, excited to have the VSiN Weekend Morning Line be a small part of the Circa Invitational as well. So looking forward to being a part of that. So, yes, a busy night ahead for us as we get you ready for a college basketball night as well as the weekend ahead. So just a quick look at who's on tap for tonight. As mentioned, we'll get you our primetime game of the night here in just a moment. We'll talk to Brian Edwards, college basketball handicapper. We will also go in-depth on the SEC with a former Tennessee Volunteer, also does work with the SEC Network, Ron Slay. He'll join us in hour number 2. We'll get the latest on the Genesis with Stephen Hennessy. Bruce Marshall will join us in the 9 o'clock hour as well. And it wouldn't be a Thursday night without a visit from our guy, Ian Cameron, the Canadian kid. Do you think he's all fired up about the Four Nations Cup going on as his Canadian I was going to say Canadian club, but I guess his nation got a win over Sweden yesterday, 4-3. USA, Finland tonight. Matt, you fired up?
No. I actually think it's, from what I hear, it's been pretty good hockey, but I am not fired up about it.
USA, by the way, up to a minus $4 favorite against the Finns in the Four Nations face-off. If you do want more on that, you probably won't get a lot of from the two jabronis on this desk, but I know Jonathan Davis has a write-up over at vsin.com.
Jonathan Davis, very good hockey handicapper, so check out what he has to say. By the way, the Canadian kid who's going to be on the final hour with us tonight, a sharp hockey capper too, and I'll tell you, I'm going to give away his play. How about that?
All right, let's do it.
Ian Cameron has the USA team total over 3.5, minus 140. That was at an prominent offshore book. He's got Finland, USA over 1.5 in the first period, and Finland, USA over 5.5. He's also got a bunch of player props. We'll talk with Ian Cameron about that tonight. He's as good as it gets in hockey and the CFL.
Yeah, curious his thoughts on what we will see on Saturday night up in Montreal as the United States takes on Canada. All right, 5 games on the NBA card here this evening, but our game of the night is going to be Nebraska hosting Maryland, and this has been a line, Matt, that really hasn't moved all that much. Last night it opened at 1.5 in favor of the Cornhuskers, and that is where we are right now. 147.5 is the total. If you're looking for the money line on the Cornhuskers, you can get it as low as minus $1.25. So this is our game of the night, and it also corresponds with a best bet from you. So you have a bet on Maryland and Nebraska.
I do. And 8:05 on the betting rotation, Maryland plus 1.5 is my play tonight. I bet this overnight. I really thought that by the time we got here today that this game was going to be Pick'em or Maryland -1. Maryland's clearly the better team here, Tim. These teams met in the middle of January, and the Terps won that 69-66. But here's what jumped out to me from the box score of that first game. You know, Julian Reese and Derek Queen are 2 of the top 3 players for the Terps. In that game, Reese scored 8 points, and Derek Queen had 3 on 0 for 4 shooting. You're not going to have very many nights, and that might be the only night, where Reese and Queen are both going to score in single digits and combine for a low total of 11 points, and Maryland still won that game, despite playing pretty poorly, at least on the part of Reese and Queen. Those 2 guys have the capability of taking over a game. I've been talking about this Terps team being on the rise in the Big Ten. You and I watched a pretty good game between Maryland and Ohio State in Columbus about a week ago. I think this is one, even though Nebraska has heated up, believe it or not, the Cornhuskers have gotten hot. They played much better basketball. I think this one where the superior talent has got to take over. Reese and Queen better than anybody Nebraska really puts on the floor, even though Huskers do have a pretty good guard in Bryce Williams. I think the Terps get this one. I'm not going to say the wrong team is favored, but I really looked at this more like a pick'em game where I thought Maryland might get the money and go off as a slight favorite.
Yeah, Nebraska, one of those teams, you look at how their season started, and then they dropped 6 straight in conference play, including that game to Maryland you alluded to in College Park on January 19th. And then against Illinois at home, they were able to get a big win as a significant dog against the Illini back on January 30th. They go out to their West Coast swing, and I had Oregon in that spot against the Cornhuskers. Thought Oregon would get it done. They did not, and that was a 77-71 win for Nebraska, if I remember correctly, around 7-8 point dogs in that spot. They beat Washington, came back home, and beat Ohio State. So Freddie Hoiberg's squad is starting to come together here. Ultimately, I laid off this game, Matt. Now, I know what people are going to bring up. The trend that is out there, the last 15 unranked home favorites versus ranked teams are 12-3 straight up. So that would fit the characteristics of tonight. But not everything is made equal. And why I laid off of this is the point that you alluded to. We were sitting here a couple weeks ago when the big fella from Illinois, Ivasic, was out due to mono, and we saw Derek Queen and Julian Reese just go to absolute town down inside against Illinois. And that's why I laid off of this, because I don't know who Nebraska has from an interior standpoint that is going to slow those 2 guys down. So if anything, I would be more on your side, but no play for me. But you're on Maryland here in this spot.
The Terps, Derek Queen and Julian Reese tore up the Illini in the paint that night. That game was a joke. Illinois looked so bad. I'm thinking the Terps can play like that against Nebraska tonight, but we'll see. It is a tricky road trip. A lot of teams have gone to Nebraska. A lot of ranked teams have gone there and gone down. But I took a shot with Maryland plus 1.5 tonight. Fully expect that game to go to the wire.
Sure.
Probably a lot like St. John's Villanova last night or one of those type of games. But anyway, Terps as small home dogs. And, you know, it's really surprising. Nebraska had that 6-game losing streak from early January to the end of the month. And it looked like that team was dead in the Big Ten, right? Now all of a sudden Nebraska's 6-7 in conference play and in the middle of the pack. And if you get a win like this, you started talking about moving on to the NCAA tournament bubble. So it's not about motivation when you handicap this, Tim, because plenty of motivation for Nebraska in this game. I just think it's a superior talent. and the interior force of the Terps, it should be enough to put them over the top in this game tonight.
All right, a best bet for Matt tonight. That game tipping off at 8:30. That is our game of the night. So we will be able to track that throughout its entirety, see if there's some in-game opportunities. Terps, a team that Eli Hershkovich came on this show, a name you might hear a little bit later on in the program. Eli Hershkovich, college hoops handicapper. He liked the Terps to be a bit of a long shot to make it to the Final Four. So best bet from Matt Humans, and best bets, as always, brought to you by our friends over at G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. G-Bank is upping the ante with up to $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. For new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening, receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sportsbook app loads within the 30 days of opening an account, you'll receive another $500 bonus. So that's a potential of $750 in bonus money. Apply now. VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. Another top 25 team in action tonight, Matt, is the Memphis Tigers as they take on South Florida. And I was just looking up some of the best and worst teams against the spread in conference play. And the Memphis Tigers, one that we've talked about a little bit here on the program. You saw them out in Maui, beat UConn, beat Michigan State, ultimately lost in the Maui Invitational Championship to Auburn. But this is a team that against the spread has struggled mightily. They're just 3-8 ATS in the AAC against a closing number. And we've seen the market be a little curious about Memphis. I know Wes Reynolds threw in a best bet on them, plus South Florida, I should say, plus I believe 7.5 there on our picks page. So as you see it on our screen, 20-4 straight up for the Memphis Tigers, but just 11-3 ATS. We'll see if the South Florida Bulls, remember last year, a team that was tremendous against the spread. So 2 ranked teams in action tonight. We'll get you some thoughts on the NBA card as well on the other side of the break. And I'll hit on one game, Matt, that is one of the stinkiest lines that I can recall. And Jim Root tipped me off on this one, and I said, too good to pass up. Really? So I'll get you a thought on a very
I can't wait to find out. Let's go.
Stinky line. Yeah. That's Matt Humans. I'm Tim Murray. Let's keep it rolling. It is VSiN Primetime.
Hey, it's Bill from VSiN. You may know me as the guy who writes the VSiN daily newsletter, but I'm also one of VSiN's owners. If you're a business owner like I am, you need to reach customers ready to spend, right? VSiN talks to millions of engaged sports fans every month, folks with money in their pockets, ready to bet on the next big game. If you want to connect with this audience, email me at bill@vsin.com. Let's talk about how VSiN can help your business, no matter what its size, win big.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Lowe's knows that your business is built on speed and trust. That's why the Lowe's Pro Desk is here to get you what you need the moment you need it. We'll help you plan your project, calculate your materials, and pivot when your job takes an unexpected turn. And with our pro-only checkout and dedicated pro parking, you have what you need to tackle.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and you're listening to the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio.
With the Daytona 500, Kyle Larson is the favorite to win at 10-1 odds. But as bettors, there is no track more favorable to underdogs. VSiN betting analyst Steve Makinen breaks down his picks in his Daytona preview article at VSiN.com. One of his best long shots is Chase Briscoe at plus 3,000. For more racing insights, sign up for the free VSiN Daily newsletter at VSiN.com/newsletter.
This is Make It Rain with Adam Shine.
Shohei Ohtani threw off a mound at spring training. Oh, you gotta love sports. I'm going with a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. And, we've been there, done that. Dodgers are great for baseball because you love them, you hate them. But just having Ohtani back on the mound gets the juices flowing for baseball and betting on baseball.
Make It Rain with Adam Shine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
College hoops handicapper Brian Edwards is going to join the program coming up in 15 minutes. That's Matt Humans.
Are you sure?
15 minutes? Yes.
I thought it was John Fanta. Is it Brian Edwards?
I think John might be busy tonight. I don't know. He was calling St. John's yesterday. I'm curious your thoughts on that St. John's Villanova game.
We'll talk about that in a minute. It was a hell of a game last night. Not too surprised by the way it turned out, but we do have a great guest list on the show tonight.
Yeah, we do. Brian Edwards going to join us coming up in 15 minutes. Former Tennessee Volunteer and now SEC Network analyst. Also hosts a radio program in Nashville. Ron Slay. We'll talk some golf. Stephen Hennessy, Bruce Marshall, and Ian Cameron going to jump on the program. So earlier today, as I was working my way through the board, and I had thrown in one best bet, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the show as San Francisco heads to the kennel. I got a text from a friend of the network, Jim Root, college basketball handicapper, and he goes, Sam Houston, ? I'm like, Sam Houston? What the hell are you talking about, Jim? He goes, this one feels like a Tim Murray special. He goes, just go check it out. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. So the Sam Houston Bearcats with a K, Matt, they are in the midst of a 7-game losing streak in Conference USA play. They're 1-10 in conference play. They're at home tonight hosting Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks, on the flip side, have won 8 in a row, and they are the best team in Conference USA. And I would like, for those of you watching with us, whether it be on our app or on YouTube TV, I would like you to see this graphic right here. I just told you that Sam Houston State is 1-10 in conference play, and Jacksonville State is the top team in the CUSA. And Sam Houston State is the favorite in this game.
Fishy.
That is a stinky line if I've ever seen one. So I just I had to plug the nose and say, all right, Jim Root, I will embrace the stink on this one. Give me the Bearcats with the play. I played it Bearcats with a K. Took them on the money line at minus $1.45. I did see Wes Reynolds is in on them as well. But Sam Houston State, it looks like they've had some tough luck as of lately. This is a team that has lost 3 games in overtime, Matt, in this 7-game losing streak. And their most recent loss was to Liberty by 3. And Liberty is a team that ranks as the best team in Conference USA play. So Sam Houston State, if you're into something like this, they are, according to Ken Palm, the 7th least lucky team in college basketball this year. So we'll see if positive regression is coming their way. But I looked at this line and the betting market, if you're asking, well, what have they done with it? They've actually bet this game up. It opened at some shops at Jacksonville State minus 1.5, and it's now Sam Houston State minus 2.5. So market's moving with the Bearcats with the K, and I will just have to trust the process here. A 1-10 team in Conference USA play is the favorite against the top team in conference play, the 9-2 Jacksonville State. I
always find these type of situations fascinating in sports betting, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. I'm actually seeing some threes pop up out there too. So Sam Houston, number 780 on the rotation. That game's going to tip here in about 15 minutes. So if you want to bet this, you want to join in on the stink with Tim Murray and Wes Reynolds and Jim Root. Sam Houston, lay, what would you lay at this point? 2.5, or would you lay the money line?
I laid the money line. I think $1.45 is still out there. That's the way I rolled with that, and so we will see if the stink comes home. So give me the Bearcats with a K. Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State. If you're wondering, in those luck rankings, I believe they come in at 24th. Right. So they've been a bit fortunate this year as well. So something that'll keep me interested. I'll give you my other best bet a little bit later on in the show. Matt is in on Maryland catching the short number, I beg your pardon, against Nebraska. I did want to circle back to a game yesterday that we watched wrap up on the air as St. John's played Villanova. And on Saturday morning on VSiN, I opened the show breaking down what we saw on Friday night. Both you and I, unfortunately, were on UConn, who got out to a double-digit lead and then let that slip away as the Johnnies got the victory. You have a great number on St. John's to win the national championship. Last night, it's just one loss. It's a tricky arena. It was the smaller barn. It wasn't Wells Fargo. Only 6,500 or so there at Villanova. Villanova gets the win as a short dog at home against the Johnnies. Did you have any big takeaways from that game where St. John's shot 37 3-pointers, which is very uncharacteristic of what they want to do?
Yeah, I don't like the Johnnies shooting that many threes. In fact, I think they should probably shoot about 20 fewer threes, about 17 per game. Somewhere around 15 to 20 threes per game is about the right number for St. John's. When you're talking about a team that shoots at less than 30% from three, you want to jack up that many shots. I was disappointed kind of in the way the St. John's played the game. Got lucky because the Johnnies got hot late and they had a shot to steal it and steal the game. And someone mentioned to me about the travel that was not called on Villanova in the end. I said, hey, look, you can't complain about things like that. Villanova was the right side in that game. St. John's, you would have been stealing with Red Storm if you got that one last night. They just didn't play I didn't think they played smart basketball. They didn't play high IQ basketball. And they were lucky to be in a position to have a chance to win that game at the end. Villanova played like a desperate team that had to have that game to get into the tournament, Tim. That game meant a lot to the Wildcats. And hopefully moving forward, Rick Pitino is not going to allow his team to shoot 30-plus threes in a game because that's just not the way St. John's needs to play.
Yeah, after St. John's win on Friday night, I ended up taking a future, not what you have on a great number for them to win the national title, but I took a 7-1 shot on them to make it to the Final Four. Right now, you can actually get plus 750 at FanDuel, so the number has gone back a little bit after the loss last night. My worry is about this St. John's team that I think, I don't want to speak for everyone. I mean, there might be some Georgetown fans out there like, what the hell are you talking about? I want St. John's to lose every single game. I would love for St. John's, outside of my future, to make a run. I want the Garden. I mean, a week from Sunday, UConn goes to the Garden. That atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible. Seeing the Garden rocking. I mean, this is a program that I believe hasn't won a Big East championship in the regular season in this century. I mean, it has been a long time.
St. John's has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2000.
Right. So it is a long time. Yeah. It has been a very long time since we've seen the Red Storm have some sort of success. But I think the worry I have, and I speak as someone who's had some Houston futures over the past couple of years, is when you have this elite defensive team, and that's what St. John's is. And when they put that full court press on you, like they did against UConn early on in that first half and swung that game, or like they did against Villanova yesterday and almost got all the way back and took the lead 71-70, and it looked like they were going to sneak out of Villanova with a victory over the Wildcats last night. But I do worry a bit about this offense. 349th in the country in three-point percentage, 80th in offensive efficiency. Does the struggles offensively worry you about the ceiling of this St. John's team?
Of course, and you can't shoot 37 threes when as a team you're shooting 29% from three.
You went 11 of 37 yesterday, which is 29%. It's funny how that works.
I know. St. John's, if you look at the Ken Pomeroy ratings, number 80 in offense, number 2 in defense. Now, I think it's more important to be elite in defense because that can win you a lot of games, a lot of big-time games in February and March that you need to win. So being number 2 in defense means more. I compare St. John's to Michigan State, Tim, because if you look at Michigan State, that team's number 12 in defense, but also shoots 29% from three. And those teams got to win with defense and rebounding and toughness. And you can't play low IQ basketball on the offensive end where you're putting up 30-plus threes when you're shooting 28 or 29%. I still like St. John's just as much as I did 2 days ago before the loss. You can never overreact to losses in college hoops because teams are going to lose on the road. It happens all the time. But the problem is now it's a little too late to jump on the Johnny's bandwagon because I've got 80-1. There were 60, 50-1 out there, and you're not going to find that number now. But when you have an elite defense, top 10 defense, you've always got a shot, especially when you have a Hall of Fame coach on the sideline of Rick Pitino.
Last time the Johnnies won the Big East regular season crown, 1992. Last time they won the conference tournament was 2000. And as you alluded to, that was the last time we saw the Johnnies make a bit of a run in the NCAA tournament. Hey, folks, we've got a great deal courtesy of the one and only Derek Stevens. As if you were getting ready for a Vegas getaway, no better time than, of course, March Madness. Derek Stevens is offering you 15% off at his 3 incredible properties right here at Circa, the D Hotel, and Golden Gate. So whether you're lounging by Circa's stunning rooftop pool or enjoying all the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with this promo code VSIN15. So book your stay at circalasvegas.com and use the promo code VSIN, VSIN 15 to get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts here. Brian Edwards, he joins us next to
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
cocktails, and raise a champagne toast as the sun sets over the Las Vegas Valley. With breathtaking panoramic views and an unforgettable atmosphere, it's the perfect setting for any occasion. Legacy Club Rooftop Cocktails. Reserve your spot today at circalasvegas.com.
This is VEASAN by the Books with Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis.
I think the conference schedule for the SEC and the Big Ten is going to provide so much for the tournament. And I'm even thinking farther down the ledger here, Dave, where, a Vanderbilt that could be in that 8, 9, or 10 seed, where that's a dangerous team as a potential double-digit seed. And I'll tell you, Texas A&M, another team that's out there, too, that could really create some headaches for a lot of clubs.
VEASAN by the Books, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern on VEASAN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VEASAN Primetime on VEASAN, the Sports Betting Network.
Alongside Matt Humans, I'm Tim Murray. We're live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada, the final night before the NBA All-Star break. We've got 5 games on the NBA card, all starting in the 8 o'clock Eastern hour or later. College basketball, 2 ranked teams in action tonight. Memphis, number 14 in the country right now, laying 7 on the road at South Florida. And Maryland catching 1.5 at Nebraska. The Terps ranked 25th in the AP poll. The Genesis Invitational nearing the end of the first round. Denny McCarthy at 4 under is your leader. Scotty Scheffler through 17 is at 2 under. We'll get more on the Genesis later on in the program. But let's head to our progressive guest line and talk some more college basketball, as we are one to do here on VEASAN Primetime. And welcome in at Vegas Edwards on social media. It is college basketball, college football handicapper Brian Edwards. And Brian, let's before we dive into the card tonight with your exact games, there's a conference that you've been tracking pretty closely that plays a lot of these Thursday night games, the Summit League, and they've been having some wild success in totals. So what do you got for us regarding a trend in the Summit League?
I've got 2 overs tonight. I did Omaha, South Dakota State over 152.5 this morning. Now, at last look, it was up into the 145, 155 range. But let me share some stats, and I think listeners will probably still like it, although it's not the best. So they met on January 11th. The Mavericks won 87-80 with the 167 flying over the 151 point total. The over is on a 9-3 run for Omaha in its last 12, but one of those 3 unders had 157 combined that would have gone over tonight's total. The Mavericks combined scores in 5 of their last 6 games, 159, 157, 178, 160, and 167. And South Dakota State has had at least 155 combined in 9 of its last 12. Now, the other one I'm going to do is Denver and North Dakota over 152.5. The over's on a 12-2 run for North Dakota, and for Denver, the over is on a 9-3 run. And a lot of these totals have been higher than the 152.5. North Dakota gives up 79.7 per game and scores 77.5 per game. So 2 overs from the Summit tonight.
All right, you can find him at Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com, and also Brian Edwards Sports. And Edwards, I like it. Summit League overs. We'll see how they go tonight, and hopefully you got a couple games there to fly over. I wanted to ask you about Friday night in the Big Ten. How about UCLA at Indiana? Really interesting handicap of this game because the Bruins off a loss at Champaign to stop their 7-game win streak. Indiana and Mike Woodson get an unexpected road win at Michigan State. I see right now UCLA opening a 1 or 1.5 point favorite in Bloomington on Friday night. What's your handicap of that Big Ten matchup?
Yeah, I like how UCLA is playing right now. Mick Cronin was not happy with all the travel there in early mid-January and, let it be known. But they have been on a roll since then. Like you said, 7-game winning streak snapped at Illinois on Tuesday, but they did cover the spread. And I like how they're playing. No shame in a 5-point loss at Illinois. They just got off to a bad start, but they played them even, for 30 minutes or so. And I think they'll take care of business at Indiana. -1.5. I'll go Bruins.
I think I like your side in that game. I was talking about that with somebody this morning. I think I like UCLA in that game as well.
Yeah, and I think, too, you think about Indiana and the performance that they just had, holding Tom Izzo just shy for now of breaking Bobby Knight's record for most Big Ten wins as they snap a 5-game winning streak. So I would agree with that. UCLA, you and I, Matt, have been keeping a close eye on this team, man. They've been playing some pretty good ball outside of a loss there in Champaign, as Brian alluded to. Hey, Brian, we just saw a couple numbers pop for Saturday, and I think all of us college hoop fans, heck, even if you're not a college hoop fan, you should be fired up for Saturday as Alabama heads to Auburn. Number 1 Alabama, number 2 Auburn, and DraftKings just opened up this number. Money line on Alabama is -118, or you could lay 1.5 at -102. What do your numbers come out for Alabama and Auburn, and is there a side that intrigues you in this 1 versus 2 showdown?
Yeah, I like Alabama a lot. I made Alabama -4. I think Alabama is the best team in the country. Now, you can certainly make the argument that Auburn's been more consistent. But look, I think when Alabama is playing its A game, I don't think anybody else's A game can match Alabama's A game. Now, are they going to have their A game Saturday? We'll see. The handicap is mostly them being at home. You look at last year's results, Alabama won by 4 when they played in Tuscaloosa. Janai Broome fouled out in that game, only played 26 minutes, but he had 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Now, Auburn put it on them when they played at Auburn, 99-81. Broome had 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 blocks. But last year, they had Pringle, who's now at South Carolina, who would guard him, and even Grant Nelson had to defend Broome down in the post last year. Nelson is, he's added a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle, but, he's no match for Broome down in the lane. But Alabama's got one of the best interior defenders in the country now in Big Cliff Amore. So I don't think Broome's going to be able to just have his way in the lane like he did against Bama last year. So the handicap is basically Alabama's at home here, and I think they can defend Broome better with the presence of Cliff Amore. And I like Alabama. I'll go -118 money line. But, I said on my podcast, I would lay 3 or less in this game. So I love them at -118.
So Ken Palm is projecting Auburn -2. I'm with you, Edwards. I think Alabama's going to open as a favorite. I'm going to say 1.5. You said you would bet Bama up to -3. Is that right?
I'd rather bet on -118 money line,
yeah,
but
sure.
Before I knew the line, I said, on the podcast, I said if it's 3 or less, I'll be on Bama.
All right, so you're like me. You've got Alabama futures too, 20-1. We got the same number. How many SEC teams did you bet in futures? What do you like and what do you don't like at this point?
Yeah, I ignorantly took the Vols after I watched Chaz Lanier throw up like 30 in mid-ish December, and they were undefeated. But that 17-1 ticket is trash because Rick Barnes doesn't get it done in March, and Tennessee's offense will fail them in the Sweet 16. And I also have Florida at 35-1, and I got Missouri 80-1 about a week and a half ago. And those are my 4: Alabama 20-1, Florida 35-1, Vols 17-1, and Missouri 80-1. I saw Missouri 75-1 this morning. I'm okay with that. Obviously small change. I think they're deep. They've got 11 guys who average double-figure minutes. Mm-hmm. They're big. I mean, they kind of bullied Florida in the paint, and all their losses are quad 1. None of them shameful. Auburn's the only team that ran away from them, and that's their only double-digit loss. And they've got some really good wins. So I like Missouri. When Caleb Grill's making threes, they're very tough to beat, and he's shooting 48% from downtown right now.
For folks right now, Brian, looking around at a possible future to maybe add, last night, what a thriller we saw as Arizona State took Texas Tech to multiple overtimes, but the Red Raiders get it done. Texas Tech right now, market-wide, sitting at around 35-1. Could Grant McCaslin's squad be one that you're interested in and maybe adding to the portfolio?
Yeah, possibly. Last night's performance was kind of concerning. Now, but they obviously struggled to win outright. I kind of thought Arizona State was the play plus 16. I did not play it, but wished I had. But yeah, just scanning the futures odds yesterday, the only team that really kind of caught my eye was Texas Tech, because obviously they win at Houston. I watched them blow out Baylor a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They've got other nice wins at BYU, Arizona. They've beaten some really good teams. Another team that I kind of thought, I thought about it for a millisecond. That was Texas A&M at 35-1. I just don't think they've got the offense that could win 6 games in March. If anything, right now I would say Texas Tech. But again, I like Missouri at the 75-1 price right now as well.
All right, Brian. Before we let you run, tell us where we can hear you on that podcast you've been mentioning.
Yes, Southeastern 16's YouTube channel, Edwards and Greason. It comes out either Thursday night or Friday morning. And I'll throw one more at you. If Missouri's -3 or fewer at Georgia on Saturday, I would like Mizzou. And there we go, gentlemen.
Awesome, Brian. Always appreciate it, man.
Thanks, fellas. Have a great weekend.
Follow on Twitter at Vegas B. Edwards is where you can find him, and just mentioned his podcast. So head to his Twitter page and check out where he is at. All right, just a reminder, folks, sports betting never slows down, and neither should you. With the Daytona 500 coming this weekend, NBA and NHL in full swing, PGA Tour happening right now. Some Genesis is going on. MLB season, March Madness right around the corner. You can get a VSiN Pro subscription for as little as $9.99. You'll also get a daily email with all the plays from hosts and guests. Head on over to vsin.com/subscribe.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and when I want to catch up with Youngstown sports, I tune in to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Looking for something specific? Use the search feature to find coverage on your favorite teams, matchups, and sports. Exclusively for VSiN Pro subscribers, download the VSiN Watch app today on the App Store or Google Play and join us on the Sports Betting Network. This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Next team for Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers are 2-1. Then you got the Raiders. Oh, please tell me no Vikings. Don't want to see the Favre thing again. For the league is Pittsburgh, Raiders, but also what happens to Russell Wilson then if they move on from him and where he could wind up. So it's always fun with the game of musical chairs in the offseason where these quarterbacks will wind up.
Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard. Weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Keep it rolling here on a Thursday evening alongside Matt Humans. I'm Tim Murray. Top of the hour, we will give you all the details regarding the VSiN Circa College Hoops Challenge. What's the official name of it? Circa College Hoops Challenge?
That's
We're throwing a VSiN in front of it? Or?
We do not throw the VSiN in front of it. But Circa College Hoops Challenge, we'll talk about that in 15 minutes. We got an NBA card with 5 games tonight, and the first game tipping off, first 2 games tipping off at 5:10 p.m. Pacific. Sacramento at New Orleans, Kings laying 8.5, total of 235. Totals come down a little bit in that game. How about Golden State and Houston? And the Warriors off that loss last night in Dallas. Did you see Steve Kerr whining about the trip? I mean, it's a flight from Dallas to Houston. Okay, this is not that difficult. It gets to the point where the whining becomes a little bit too much in the NBA. Anyway, Golden State and Houston. Right now, Warriors circa 1.5 point favorites, total of 225. So the Warriors favored on the road. I was looking for some information on this game, who's going to be in, who's going to be out.
According to Steve Kerr, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, no minutes restrictions. Right. They're all going to play.
Last game before the All-Star break, so they're all going to give it a go, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's probably also the fact that the Warriors lost last night. You could say the Warriors crap their pants if you watched Jimmy Butler's performance last night. Did you happen to see that?
I did. Well, we saw Kyrie Irving take his second charge of his NBA career late in that game. Jabari Smith and Fred VanVleet could play the Rockets' first game after a break, but not going to play here tonight. Tari Eason also out for the Rockets. So no Tari Eason, no Fred VanVleet, no Jabari Smith for the Rockets. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, all cleared to play tonight.
Even though it's a back-to-back for the Warriors, it feels like a good spot to bet the Warriors tonight.
Market's telling us that too, right? Out to 1.5 here at Circa.
At DraftKings, you still get Warriors +1, and it's here at Circa -1.5. So I would probably look at the Golden State side in that game of Houston. How about Miami at Dallas? Heat 3-point road favorites. Mavericks get the win last night, but we just had Brian Edwards on the show, and Brian's affiliated with MajorWager.com, and you can get some injury updates on the NBA off their Twitter feed. Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson both out for the Mavericks tonight, and that's why the Miami Heat, obviously road favorites in that one. OKC up to how about this one, Tim? OKC up to a 10.5 point favorite at Minnesota. And if you wonder why it's risky to open NBA lines early, Circa actually was later to the market than most on this. Circa opened as 6 and is up to 10 or 10.5 on OKC, laying a big number at Minnesota tonight. And the Clippers laying 9.5 at Utah. Did you watch it last night? Pretty impressive performance by the Utah Jazz. They took it. They whipped the Lakers. Yeah, LeBron and Luka took them out to the woodshed last night in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, they lost on Monday night in the Luka debut, but got their revenge as a double-digit dog there. So a solid win for the Utah Jazz. And tonight being the last night before the All-Star break, Clippers out to a 9.5 point favorite, a 10 at DraftKings. Miami does feel like a decent spot with no Kyrie, no Klay. Hell of a performance last night from Kyrie, 42 points for the Dallas Mavericks as they get that thrilling victory over the Golden State Warriors. So a 5-game slate tonight, and it starts coming up at 8:10 Eastern, 2 games at 8:10, and a couple a little bit later on. 4 games in totality in that 8 o'clock Eastern hour, and then 1 game to wrap up there in the 9 o'clock Eastern hour. Clippers at the Jazz.
Tim, can I tell you a very personal story?
Please do.
Let's just keep this between us.
Just us, not
just
anyone
between us.
listening on YouTube TV or Sirius XM 158.
Right.
Yep.
So for about 15 years, probably longer than 15 years, I've been a DirecTV subscriber. Right. For the last couple months, I thought about dropping DirecTV because the rates just keep going up and up and up. I'm not adding any channels. I've got the same package of same sports packages and everything else. But when I signed up for DirecTV, I was paying around $125. Now all of a sudden I look at my bill. I don't pay attention to bills a lot during the football season. But then you look and say, wow, I've been paying $205 a month for DirecTV. What? So I started to look into it. And I said, yeah, I might switch to YouTube TV, right? VSiN's got a channel on YouTube TV. Very popular. A lot of people love YouTube TV. YouTube TV has a lot of features on there. You can record games, watch them at any time. JVT sat here and told me about a month ago, you should switch to YouTube TV.
I've been a YouTube TV subscriber since I moved to Vegas 4 years ago. Yep. I've been very happy with it.
Before I switched, because I'm been attached to DirecTV for so long, I decided I'm going to give DirecTV a call and say I'm going to cancel my service and then see if they make me a counteroffer. And so I did that. I should have done it several months ago, obviously, because I called DirecTV. So I'm going to cancel. Done. I'm going over to YouTube TV. And guess what? Magically knocked my bill about 50% off of it.
Beautiful.
It's a great deal. DirecTV gave me a hell of an offer. And would you stay with us? The only requirement is we're going to send you new equipment, all this stuff. You just have to stay 1 year. I was so tempted to go to YouTube TV. I didn't do it. I said, I'm going to stay with DirecTV because that's great. When you can knock 50% off your bill, why not? So I'll stay with it. Well, now I'm happy I made that decision because how about the news that comes out today? YouTube TV, and believe me, we love YouTube TV because we're on there. VSiN's got a channel on there, has dropped CBS and other Paramount channels after failing to reach a new deal. And that's a big deal. With March Madness and the Masters coming up, if you don't have CBS channels, if you're a sports guy like Tim Murray, look at him over here, you're going to be very unhappy with that. I know that there's a chance the VSiN's going to be on DirecTV pretty soon. I probably shouldn't reveal all the details, but that would be a great thing as well. Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, tweeted this today. It took years for me to ditch DirecTV. But when YouTube TV came out, it was an easy switch. Now it would appear I might need to find a new option. The issue is there's nothing comparable. Now what? And also I saw on Twitter today that YouTube TV had raised its monthly subscription price by $10 and is set to drop 24 channels. So, Tim.
Oh, don't worry. They let us know that because they're dropping as of now. Now, they could always fix this because a couple of years ago, I'll just point this out. A couple of years ago, they dropped ESPN for like a day.
Right.
And then magically they came to terms and ESPN and all their affiliated channels were back. But as of right now, if you were a part of the YouTube TV army like I am, we're saving $8 a month, though, so we could pay for that Paramount Plus subscription.
I mean, that's brutal, though. If you're a sports fan and you're really into college hoops and golf, CBS is sorely missed. And you remember there was a time here last summer in Vegas when CBS was not carried. It must have been nationally. CBS was not carried. Was it Cox Cable?
I'm not sure.
It might have been DirecTV. I can't remember. It was a while you could not access CBS. And with March Madness coming up, that's huge. So I think a lot of people have a tough decision to make. I'm happy I stuck with DirecTV. I've thought that YouTube TV was a great option from what everybody tells me. But now I'm glad that I'm still with DirecTV. What are you going to do? Because you're going to be at home. You're going to be betting these games. You're going to be fired up. You're going to want to watch CBS Sports Network and all the CBS channels with the games. What's going to happen? You're going to wait and hope the YouTube TV and CBS actually do a deal?
I'm going to give them maybe a week. to see if they figured this thing out. I do have Paramount Plus.
Tim Murray sets a hard deadline, a week.
I'll give him a week. But I'll say this, what I'm going to miss, obviously CBS, with the Masters coming around the corner, March Madness, all of that. I'll give CBS